Hello, and welcome to the Weekly Scroll podcast brought to you by the Adventure Archive. My name is Ryan.
And I'm lost in the woods, and it's only getting worse.
And I am Stella Condrey, RPG doer of things.
And I'm Josh, another RPG doer of things and frequent contributor to this channel.
Yeah, I would say both of you at this point are probably just part of this channel. I think Josh are one of our most guests. Yeah.
We could definitely be classified as friends of the show.
Friends of the show. Illustrious title, friends of the show.
Yeah.
Y'all are on the secret Discord server that we keep.
Yeah.
But today we're doing a side quest. This side quest, I think maybe 6 or 7 side quests. And today's gonna be Trophy Dark. For those that haven't watched any of our side quests before, the side quests specifically are episodes where we play a game that we've reviewed. The TWS plays are just games in general, but these are specifically games that we have reviewed with geared towards introing you to play the game. So if you read the review, watch a side quest, you have a good understanding of the rules of the game, how to play the game, and can kind of run on your own. We reviewed Trophy Dark and Trophy Gold together back on episode, I think it was 83, right, Hunter?
Yes.
Yeah. So today we're going to be playing Trophy Dark, and sometime in the future we will also be playing Trophy Gold. And today, as written below, you can see the adventure we're going to be running is a warm and pleasant hum. This is from Michael Van Vleet. I believe it's an award-winning adventure for Gauntlet, and then was added into the new Trophy Dark. Gorgeous, man! They're beautiful. If you don't, the books are absolutely stunning. If you didn't get the box set, you missed out. But yeah, that is what we're doing today, and I'm going to kick into our game master, Josh Domanski. Hey, Josh.
I think you can still get physical copies of these books. Studio 2 Press, I think, is the distributor publisher. I don't know. They are expensive, so good luck. Oh, all right. So, Trophy Dark. So the Trophy series, I think you guys have probably covered this in the episode, but just a quick recap. It's split into 3 books at the moment. There is Dark, Gold, and Loom. Dark and Gold being the games, and Loom being sort of the setting book that gives you details on the background world and things that you can pull into games of your own. The tale that I've heard is that Trophy Dark, or at least the original Trophy before they used the subtitles, was created to play, I think, in the forest of 𝗧𝗪𝗻, and then kind of spawned into its own thing. But it's a descendant of Cthulhu Dark at the very least, and I think they mashed some Blades in the Dark together to make this one. But now we'll be covering this in the future, but Trophy Dark is sort of the one-shot game. You play as doomed treasure hunters entering the dark forest on what is very likely to be their last expedition. In contrast, Trophy Gold, which, like I said, we'll cover in the future, is you're playing desperate treasure hunters. You might lose your life in that one, but that's a little more expectation of longer term play. While in Trophy Dark, if you're alive at the end, that's some pretty dang good luck that you've had. So
I'm going to make it. I'm going to live all the way to the end.
Yeah. Now, Trophy Dark and Gold, they're split into what they call incursions. As we mentioned at the top, the one that we're going to run today is a warm and pleasant hum. This is one of the interesting ones where between Trophy Dark and Trophy Gold, some of the same writers were invited back to contribute content between the two of them. The adventure that we will be playing today is directly linked to the one we will cover in Gold at some point in the future when we can gather back up. So we'll see kind of 2 different sides of something very similar over the course of both of these games. Now, for tonight, what I'm going to do is quickly discuss what makes a Trophy Dark character. Talk about the various parts of it and how they relate to play overall. Once I'm done with that, it'll only take a minute or 2. We can introduce our characters to each other. Then I will talk about the structure of Trophy Dark, how that pertains to play, and the most important mechanics to keep in mind as we continue forward. Then we'll dive into the adventure itself. So hopefully this won't drag on too long, but now trophy dark characters are pretty simple overall. You have a name, an occupation, a background, a drive, and rituals for the most part. So your name, that's pretty self-explanatory. That's who you are. Your occupation and background are what you are. Your background is what you used to be, and your occupation is what you are currently doing on this expedition into the forest. Your occupation and background, they give your character a series of skills, and your skills are used during risk rolls and what have you. When you want to achieve something, you lean upon your skills to do so. Now, your character's drive, this is the thing that puts them into the forest. The reason they are in search of treasure and the reason they keep moving forward despite unspeakable terrors that they may encounter. A lot of these elements within the character creation, they'll give you a random sentence, and the book doesn't really tell you what those mean. So there are these evocative terms, and it's up to kind of the player and the play groups to decide together what these specific elements are, and we'll get some good examples when we start talking about our characters in general. Now, you may also have rituals. Rituals they're magic. You know, they are the things that you can do that are a little weird at this point. So rituals are very simple. I think it's the 𝗧𝗥𝗢𝗛𝗪 approach, but they give you a name, they give you a short little description, and that's it. We figure out what those mean within the context of play as it becomes relevant. So we have a lot of freedom to decide what these rituals do. Now, finally, your characters have ruin. Ruin is it's the descent of your character to the point where they are claimed by the forest. Everyone starts with at least one ruin, and when it goes up to 6, your character is lost. Now, this could mean a number of things depending on the context. A character that reaches 6 ruin might just be dead, if that is what makes sense in the context, but more importantly, they might be claimed by the forest. This could be in sort of like a metaphorical way. Maybe you never leave due to some inherent obsession, or in a very literal way where the forest literally claims your character and makes it its own, turning you into some horrid monster. That is the thing that we are trying to avoid through play, but might be an inevitability for your characters. So keep an eye on that ruin. Now, like I said, all characters begin with 1 ruin. We're looking for a 6, but if you have a ritual, for every ritual your character has, your base ruin increases by 1. And whatever that score you start as can never be lowered further than that. So if you start with 3 ruin for having 2 rituals, no matter what you do to reduce your ruin, you're always going back to that 3. You can never go further than that, since you've taken that magic that sort of inherently corrupts you. Now, at this point, do we have any questions before we proceed?
I think I got this down pat.
Oh,
so
yeah,
far.
I'm definitely going to get lost in the forest immediately, by the way. So
you do have the highest starting ruin at 3 of 6.
Yeah. No, that's I mean, that's all good. So Trophy Dark is a game that I'm absolutely in love with. This is the first time I actually get to play it, though. The vibes are just immaculate. I do the player principles are some of my favorite in here, and I love like you said before, that this is the one-shot one, and like one of the player principles right at the end is like play to lose. Like, you know, going into this that 99,999 out of like 10,000 times you're gonna die, and I really like that, you know, that going in, so you can just embrace the darkness, and I'm really excited to do that in game versus real life. Yeah.
Yeah, let's quickly talk about those player principles, because I think they're kind of interesting. Just real quick, you're given 3 in Dark. Embrace tragedy, don't hold back, and play to lose. And there's some more details on those, but we don't need to read the text from the box. But either way, all right. So on that note, Do you guys want to take a moment to introduce your characters to each other? You are bound by this mission, and we'll talk a little bit about that together. So we can assume your characters know each other in some form. You've at least met up in Fort Durin to head out on this expedition. But if we get your character's name, occupation, background, drive, and if you wish to reveal any rituals, you can do so as well.
And if that is the case, I think I'd like to start. I've got a character. Her name is Orlin. At the moment, she is the cook on this expedition, but she used to be, well, and her background was disinherited noble. And between the combination of that, I have the skills both for food and poisons. So I guess she's fairly trustworthy, all things considered. Her drive is to become part of the swirling court, which I interpreted as some kind of magical zephyric kind of demigod thing, you know? And like she's basically trying to reach godhood because nobility didn't end up working out for her or her family.
And what does Orlin look like for us?
Well, that's a good question. I think she has just her hair in one really long braid, like down to her very rear end, you know? And she's got kind of bug eyes, I think.
Nice.
Okay. Who's up next?
Go. I'm playing as Parda, who's the occupation I'm doing this is the chain, which I'm interested in what like the interpretations for that are. Like I can do commands, like my skills are commands, elements, and rituals. So I feel like it's a almost like druidic like position, you know? The chain, like connection to the forest, this connection to nature. It's supposed to help like guide and protect the party on the way through, although maybe not very good at it. And my background is I'm a cursed beast bitten. So I'm some kind of were person, you know. And I start. Sorry.
I'm looking at it says cured beast bitten.
Oh, cured beast bitten. Whoops. Well, whichever. Cured beast bitten. So I was some type of uncontrollable were person, and I've been cured of that. And that's my like connection to the forest. And my drive is to pay the toll of the Emerald Bridge, because beyond the Emerald Bridge is the Jeweled City, where nothing is bad and everything is great. And I want to escape how terrible all things are for me. And I actually did start with 2 rituals, and I'll go ahead and give them away because I'm fine with that. The first one is Swarm, trade favors with a colony of vermin, which will be very interesting for this. And the next one is Beast, take a form halfway between human and animal, which I think is also really interesting for this character. So,
You want me to read the text for Beast Bitten for you, or are you imagining it yourself?
Yeah, tell me. I want to, yeah.
All right.
Because I didn't, so.
All right, so Beast Bitten, they're described in Trophy Loom, real quick. Woe to the human who returns from a forest or field marked by the bite of a ravenous beast. If not urgently treated, such wounds can fester and provoke transformation into something called a beast bitten. On moonlit nights, their bodies stretch and break, growing features resembling their attackers. Claws, hooves, fangs, fur, antlers. Feral beast bitten are considered criminals under our Majesty's laws and subject to imprisonment or worse. Very rarely, a beast bitten who is subjected to unconventional treatments can be cured and reintegrated into society. Though they still transform, they remain in possession of their faculties and can even trigger a partial change at will. Notable scholars suggest that such a treatment doesn't actually cure the disease, but merely delays the poor victim's inevitable descent into a bestial form.
Nice.
Yeah,
Yeah, so I'm a were person.
That makes so much sense that you have Beast as a ritual, since
Yeah,
you
it was
trigger.
The last thing I rolled, and I was like, stopping there. So
perfect.
Oh, and as for the way he looks, I found like a picture that was close, and I put it on the character keeper, which is a fantastic character keeper. But yeah, he's very like a rough ranger-esque looking guy. Very shaken by his experiences, being beast bitten, cured, and now having this connection to the wood, the forest.
All right, Ryan, you're up.
Yeah. So my character is 𝗧𝗪𝗻. 𝗧𝗪𝗻 is a elite, which I view as it's kind of like a doctor, a chirurgeon, some type of medical person. The skills like blood deduction, surgery, etc. So, my background is expelled apprentice, and my drive is to earn the right to my family's name. And then my aura, and this all comes back together into a story, which I love, which is my favorite thing about dice rolls, is how they can all make stories. I took one ritual, and it is aura. It is ascertain a creature's emotional state, truthfulness, and true form. So how I see 𝗧𝗪𝗻 is that he was a like doctor's apprentice, like he was basically like a resident or whatever, like becoming a surgeon or chirurgeon, whatever we're gonna call it. And this chirurgeon is like one of my favorite words. And right before, or like towards the end of their studies, I was pushing a little bit farther and like trying to be the best. And I started like learning these rituals, which were forbidden in medicine. So I was kicked out and disowned by my family. And the aura one was one that I learned to try to like see what was going on with my patients as I did it. So that's kind of how I see myself, is like kicked out right before I became a full physician and disowned by my family. So I'm pretty much, I assume then, like the party's healer, doctor, etc. And looks wise, probably pretty basic treasure hunter vibes, but those extra bottles of unguents and shit on their belt, and probably after I was kicked out from sciences with the rituals, probably digging into a little bit more of that naturopathic stuff too. So just a lot of stuff, I think, pouches on pouches.
Good to know. Now, before we dive into the adventure itself, a little bit of explanation about the setup and procedure here. So Trophy Dark is very linear in its presentation. I think it's the best way to describe it. Each incursion is a series of 5 rings. These are sort of mimicking the 5 acts of a story, where the course of play, we will go from ring 1 to ring 5. Each ring presents its own challenge, and this is where your sort of agency of choice kind of comes into play. You get to choose how you approach each of these challenges in turn, and how those affect your characters as you further descent into the forest itself. But at a certain point, we are going to have to move into the next ring. I will note in particular, since we're trying to cram this all into one session, we're probably going to have to haul ass because these things take a long time. So best case scenario, Trophy Dark sessions are usually like you run it over 2 different sessions, you make characters in one, and then you start the first 2 rings, and then the second session you come and do the finale. Like I said, we're going to be a little hasty here, so I might cut some corners, but we'll see where it goes. Either way, that's our narrative pacing. We're going to move through this story 1 ring at a time as we approach your objective. Now, in terms of mechanics, there's 2 things you need to know at first. There are some other things that might come up, but I think I'll leave them into the moment because they're not as impactful. There is the risk roll and the reduction roll. Now, let me actually find the right page first before I start blabbing.
Scroll 16.
It's in the Mac. Okay. So first, fighting monsters is not something you can do in this game. If you are approached by, like, let's say a big werewolf is stalking you in the forest and you want to run up to it with your sword and stab it in the gut, you're gonna die. Like, that's sort of the long and short of it. You can sort of fight to escape or fight to delay, but these monsters are never things that you can fight to kill. And that is sort of one of the inherent differences between Dark and Gold. In Dark, you die if you fight the monsters. In Gold, you have a little more chance of being able to take them out. Now, it is important to distinguish, this is only the monsters themselves. You can fight other people. Like, if you see another dude chilling in the woods and you want to stab him, go and stab him. It's just, it's going to inherently be risky in that action. So keep that in mind as we progress. But the first thing to note is the risk roll. This is the core of the game. This is the thing we're going to be doing the most. So when you attempt a risky task, first, the player will kind of say what they hope happens. What the best case scenario is. I want to jump over that ravine. Give it at that. But Trophy Dark is sort of inherently a conversational game. I will say, maybe if you fail, you'll fall down the ravine. Something like that. But we also open it up to the rest of the table to offer other suggestions for what could go wrong if that roll fails. So we'll have a little bit of a back and forth there. We get to start gathering dice after that. Now, Trophy splits its dice into light and dark die, and they're all D6s. One's light and one's dark. If you have a skill due to your occupation or background, you gain a light die for one of your rolls. You gain a second light die for accepting a devil's bargain. I'll talk about what that means in just a second here. I think that's pulled directly from Blades in the Dark for those who have read that book on stream. And you also gain a dark die if you are risking your mind or body to attempt the task. Not every risk roll is going to result in a mind or body risk, so keep that in mind. But a dark die is generally something you want to avoid, though it is a little helpful in that regard. Now, so you gather your dice pool. To start, it's a maximum of 3, but that can increase under certain situations, which I'll cover in a second. So you roll your dice. If the highest is a 1 to 3, you fail and things get worse. If the highest is a 4 to 5, you succeed with a complication. Generally, this is going to be a narrative condition that affects your character. Like, you jump across the ravine, but you scratch yourself on a branch, and it leaves a scar on your arm that's bleeding and open. So you gain the condition bleeding. Something in that regard. But if the highest is a 6, then you succeed with no complication at all. You get to describe how you succeed, how far you jump, how high you jump, so on and so forth. Now, it is important to know that if you are rolling a dark die, and the dark die is both the highest and higher than your current ruin, your ruin increases, and you also gain a condition. So you can succeed and also have your ruin increase based on that. So if you roll a 6 with the dark die, you succeed still. It's still a high 6, but you gained additional ruin through the action. Now, I also talked about devil's bargains. So when we set up the roll, we've already talked about what might go wrong. We're gathering the dice. What we get to do is offer up bargains. Now, these are narrative things that will happen no matter what. So each of us gets to propose one, and then the player who's doing the roll can either choose one of these devil's bargains or can choose to refuse them. They just do not gain their additional light die if they don't accept a bargain. So sometimes it's worth the risk. Now, the example that I like to use, and it's not my own, is a devil's bargain. Let's say you're jumping over that ravine still. A devil's bargain might be, no matter what, your sword will fall down the ravine. If you fail the roll, that's because you fell down the ravine with the sword. But if you succeed, maybe your sword slips out of your belt as you're jumping over, and then it tumbles into the darkness below. But that's a simple one. A more complicated devil's bargain might be, no matter what, on the other side of that ravine is your ex-wife looking for vengeance. So that sets up an interesting narrative complication. You don't have to accept that, but if you jump over that ravine, you're going to be faced with conflict. No matter whether you're successful or not. If you fail, your ex-wife gets to watch you drop down that ravine. So keep that in mind as we're going through. You'll get a number of situations where you get to propose them and choose whether or not you wish to accept them. Before I continue, does all of that make sense? That is the core of it. That is the risk roll.
I'm sure you'll explain it again the first time it comes up. So
we're
good. We're good.
Now, the next important roll, keep in mind, is the reduction roll. Trophy Dark is a little bit of an antagonistic game in the sense that you're going to get to a point where your character will put the health of themselves above that of their party. For a reduction roll, once you reach 5 ruin, you get the chance to do this. If you act in the interests of the forest, whether that's destroying treasure you found, preventing use of rituals from your other group members, or sabotaging your fellow treasure hunters in some manner, you can reduce your ruin. The idea is you want to do this without attracting attention to yourself. You want to slip that treasure down your pant leg into the puddle as you walk by without your party seeing you do so. Either way, you're playing into the forest. The forest is trying to change you. It's trying to prevent you from leaving. But you can make sure that it takes your fellow party members before it takes you. Every time you do this, you roll a light die. If the light die is higher than your current ruin, whatever betrayal you have done, it goes unnoticed, and you can reduce your ruin score by 1. If it is higher or equal to your ruin, you can still remove a ruin if you so choose. It's just your party members, one of them at the very least, will notice your attempt at betrayal. But otherwise it goes unseen. Now, you may continue to reduce your ruin in this way when your ruin drops below 5 until you are back to your starting ruin. So you can trigger it once you hit 5, and then you can keep continuing to dump it down and continuing to betray your party members if you see it fit to preserve your own life as you draw further and further into the forest. So that's the risk roll and the reduction roll. There are a number of other things like a ruin roll. You can also help somebody else out within their own risk roll, but that opens up your character at risk. That's called the help roll. And then there's a contest roll, which is when the 2 characters are in conflict with one another, attempting to achieve similar outcomes. But when those come up, we will describe them as needed. All right. I ask again, any questions, comments, thoughts, concerns, ideas?
No, I'm stoked.
Sounds cool.
I'm stoked to kick everyone in the stomach when they're trying to do rituals so I don't turn into a member of the forest.
Good time.
I've learned that if you ever plan on making a deal with the devil, you shouldn't be divorced.
There we go.
It's a good rule for all of us.
Real quick before we start, what I should have asked before stream, do we have a hard stop from Stella or Josh? Do we have like a time limit?
I told myself I had a hard stop at 6, so another 3 hours from here, but I think we can do it in that time.
Okay.
I don't got any time limits on me.
All right. Sounds good. Do it.
Okay.
Let's go, gamers.
Let's dive into A Warm and Pleasant Hum by Michael Van Vleet. Just for those listening, I think we've already mentioned it. This is one that's directly in the Trophy Dark core book. Even if you get the PDFs, I would highly recommend it. Trophy Dark comes with a bajillion different incursions, so you can play weeks and weeks and weeks without ever needing another book.
And I'll make sure it is still able to be purchased from the Michael Van Vleet's itch page too. So I'll make sure to add the link there too. And for those in chat, it is pinned at the top of the board as well.
Lovely. Okay, so a warm and pleasant hum has a general theme of bees, as should be apparent given that.
Give me what? What are you talking about?
The
What do
overlay.
you mean?
It's all around us.
It's not just black and pink like it always is.
Hey, the side quest ones, excuse me, our overlays are always a lot. I do.
Yeah,
Okay.
we're a fancy production here, from what I've seen.
Yeah, we fancy, huh? All right.
Mm-hmm.
All right. For those who are viewing at home, some of the content warnings for this particular adventure are biting and stinging, cannibalism, confined spaces, eye trauma, graphic violence, and harm to animals and insects. We are going to try and cool it on any eye trauma, and I don't think it really comes up anyway. So, that being said, we will join Orlin, Torum, and Parda on their descent into the forest. Now, the human world has room for many monarchs, but the humming woods has only one queen, the six-legged mother of millions, dines exclusively on an elixir said to cure any ill or even extend one's life. A royal jelly of matchless quality. Few dare attempt to steal any jelly, protected as it is by the swarms that live in her remote hive, known as the sixth-form heart. But what if one had grander dreams than that of waxed sack containing purloined jelly? If one can claim the queen, one can control her enormous six-legged family and the wealth their industry represents. But the denizens of the sixth-form heart have a loyalty that is pheromone-fueled and absolute, and the venomous means to protect their home and monarch. So you three are on the journey to the sixth-form heart in the middle of the humming woods, at the very least for some of that royal jelly said to cure all and any ills, but if possible, to take control of the queen herself and the bounty with which she presides over. Now, before we begin proper, the question, how did the three of you join together as a group? Now, the trophy setting has a home base of sorts called Fort Durham. It's centered right at the edge of the wilderness. That's where adventurers typically begin as they dive into the Caldor Forest, with which the Humming Woods exists within. So you didn't necessarily have to meet there, but that is a point where you did at least branch off into the woods. But with that in mind, how'd you guys group up? Where'd you go? Where'd you meet? You just friends? You know each other for a long time?
I feel like Parda doesn't really have friends. He's like a weird were person that has taken several dips into the forest, and is probably kind of known for having taken several dips into the forest. I feel like I'd be sought out as like hey, looking to round out a group. It's going deeper in, you know?
Yeah. And Ryan, I think our characters, we both kind of have a thing where we used to be a very high standing and now we're not. Maybe we both like were in kind of like the same courts before the two various things went southward. I don't know, I guess maybe most of my family was killed off in dynastic disputes or whatever.
Yeah, and mine disowned me. Yeah, I think we definitely could have been rolling in the same social circles prior to this, and maybe both, ran across each other at some point. Like, hey, you also now get to do this. This is great. If we want a deeper connection, Parda, that's up to you though. But you had to be taken care of by a doctor at some point because of your beast stuff. So maybe that could be like our connection is that I was one of the ones or the one that kind of helped you when you got bitten.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
All right, there you go.
Should I go ahead and name what kind of animal that I was bitten by and can transform into now? Just to
save it.
Okay. Okay. Cool.
A raccoon.
Raccoon.
Yeah.
Okay.
A red panda.
And so we enter ring 1. Now, I will note that we're going to do the first 2 rings, ring 1 and ring 2. Then we'll take a quick 5-minute break or so, and then finish up with the last 3 rings to end the session. Now, the journey into 𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪 Forest to find the Humming Woods has been uneventful so far. The forest is quieter than he would have expected. And despite the deep shadows, a pleasant warmth suffuses the forest, making your outer layers of clothes and armor feel as if they're unnecessary and uncomfortable. But in ring 1, you approach the Humming Woods. Now, another question. How do you know you have reached the Humming Woods at this point? What do you see that signifies having entered the region?
And maybe I feel like if this is like a bee heavy like wood, then there also would be like pollen heavy as well. So maybe we see like the air start to get thick with pollen from all the plants around us that are regularly harvested by the bees.
Yeah, everything's covered in like yellow. And I would imagine there would just be like a lot of flowers as well.
Those flowers themselves, seemingly devoid of sun, blooming in the shade of the massive trees that stretch overhead. Now, as you walk through the woods, 3 of you in single file, trudging onward. It's been some time since you left Fort Durin, but how long that's been is unnecessary to specify. But the silence, or relative silence, of the last few days or hours is pierced suddenly by a noise. It is one that you know well. It is the shriek of a horse, and it echoes through the woods from some point up ahead. What do you guys do?
I get really low, I look up and around like I'm really scared.
Yeah. I think I'm you first.
No, are we, I assume we're not on horses. I assume we are hoofing it with our own hoofs.
No, the implication was you're on foot, and I suppose I can be persuaded. You are trudging through unmarked forest with little to no pathways, so
yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense for a horse to be here, just in general. So that means someone is here. I think I'm gonna advocate generally for checking it out, but being ready to kill someone if need be.
Good way to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Go ahead.
No, I have my. I don't know if there's a Hippocratic oath in Trophy Dark. I imagine there's not, but if something is screaming, I feel an urge to try to help it. So I would also advocate for cautious investigation.
Okay, we cautiously investigate then.
So you click the stealth button and duck down.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. We press the joystick in.
I'm going tree to tree, just like.
So moving quickly and not silently, but close to it through the forest, you hear another, whinny or harsh scream from the horse. It begins to get closer, but soon mixed with that noise are voices. And you see them in the distance, maybe through the brush as you push your way through. 3 figures standing, you can see in quick and panicked movement as the three of them shift and move around a horse that is currently bucking and shifting and moving erratically. You are close enough now to see these three people. They look like they're apiarists. They wear thick, like canvas cloaks almost that cover their body, their faces covered with mesh attached to brim hats. You can even see the horse itself as it kicks and thrashes around, that it once had a mesh mask of its own, but it has shifted askew. And even from this distance, you notice the deformation of its skin, the welts and hives upon its face, and the panicked look in its eyes as it shifts and kicks while the three apiarists attempt to calm it. What do you do?
Do we want to engage? I feel like those bee suits would be a good idea, you know? The mesh
suits would, but how? The question is getting them undamaged.
Mm.
And I think that's the problem, is if we go in to help and we don't have those bee suits and these bees are strong enough to make a horse do that, I feel like it's not going to tickle at best.
Now, Torum, you in particular, as you're eyeing the chaos ahead, your eye catches something familiar. The horse is laden with supplies propped up on its back. This was more of a cart horse than a riding horse. But you see, attached to one of the bags, are several ampules of an amber liquid sloshing around of some medicinal make.
I see that. I do. I know that in my mind.
What do you see with your elven eyes?
Yeah, no, I think I noticed that, but currently I will keep that to myself.
So for my skills, I have like commands as a skill. I have a hard time contextualizing commands, you know, like giving orders, like that kind of thing.
The way I like to think about it is, let's say a rabid dog is running down an alleyway towards you and you shout it to sit, you know, assuming that there is some sort of inherent command structure built into the dog's programming. So you roll a risk roll, and because you know command, you can be direct with the dog and tell it to sit, and that's your skill that adds to it. Beyond that, it's I can be persuaded with even a small argument. So okay, as long as it makes sense to you to use command in a certain way, I think I'll accept it. But we can.
I feel like that's more or less where I was about with that. So, I think we should try to help.
All right. Well, I will care for your stings after.
Do we actually actively right now see bees around them?
Not at the moment.
Oh, shit.
But these are known for being small. And you are still some ways away from that horse and its assumed owners.
I think Pardo wants to slowly move up and try to help with the horse, you know? Try to take the reins and like, whoa!
Yeah.
Question.
I disagree.
Yeah, I have a question for lore. Is that generally like just knowledge, or would I need to pick a specific type of lore, or
for the skill lore? So in terms of like written game design, a setting is the thing you interact with. Lore is the facts that sort of prop up that setting. So I think it's more like history is how I would think of it. There probably is a history skill as well, but maybe you know the old fables that told the children or something of the sort.
Gotcha.
Okay, so
Story that people's tell, the folklore, perhaps.
Yeah, you had a lot of thick old books in the family library. I was quite the avid reader. All right, I will. If Orlin and Parda are moving up, I'm gonna move up too. But again, like I'm gonna stay on the periphery, so that if people do get injured, I can swoop and help. You know.
Now, Parda, as you are moving forward, approaching that horse, assuming you're taking the lead on this one.
Yeah.
Okay. You are on notice at this point, but you have just enough time for your mind to wander a little bit. So I have a question for you. On this expedition, do you desire a cure or power?
I think in broad general terms, like a cure.
The royal jelly is said to cure any ill.
Yeah, I think the ill that Parda has is poverty and humanity. So the cure would be crossing that Emerald Bridge to escape that.
Okay. I'll keep that in mind as we proceed. So, the three of you are now closer. You can still hear the panicked voices of the three of them kind of trying to calm down the horse. The horse is having none of it. It is still kicking and bucking. It's as soon as anybody gets a little closer, it kind of backs away. You can see its eye is starting to flick and move around, taking in the environment. I think the horse even notices you, but the apiarists still don't. You have maybe 20, 30 yards up until this point. The trees and brush and flowers masking your presence. As you approach, the situation is unchanged. So what do you do?
I think I'm gonna try to take the reins and woe it, you know?
Okay, so you're just gonna run up, surprise these dudes, grab the reins of the horse?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Sure. Yeah, we're gonna do that. It sounds like a great plan of action.
All right. So this is gonna be our first risk roll of the night. Now.
Ooh. Real quick. Something new on the stream that we're going to test tonight, and I want to shout out the website. It is ddddice.com, like 3D dice, whatever. It is a dice rolling website that allows you to do like overlay dice. As if you watch our other streams, Foundry kind of has it built in so it streams across. So we are going to attempt to see how that works so that stream can actually see us rolling instead of just believing us when we roll off stream and say what we got. So, and what was cool about this that I really liked is the default. If you go to that website, you can sign up for a free account. We're not sponsored. It's just cool. The default theme is bees. So I thought this was a great one to bring this in on. So, and I think the dice are going to be a little different for this, Josh, if we wanted to address that when we roll. But anyway, yeah, just wanted to throw that out there.
Oh yeah, we've been talking to splitting it up because it doesn't have that. Trophy uses dark and light die, but the dice roller does not have dark and light dice. We'll attempt to accommodate. But first risk roll. So first, what do you hope to achieve? Anything other than calming the horse by grabbing its reins?
I would also like to achieve calming the people around me as well.
Okay, so you wish to exude calming presence. All right, so what do we think will happen if you fail? Now, I think something bad will happen to that horse. If you're unsuccessful at calming it, maybe you'll spook it even more. No,
I would agree with that.
Yeah. Ryan and Stella, do you guys have any thoughts on what could happen if Torum was to fail? Sorry, Parda.
My immediate thought is that those people would immediately start attacking, thinking they're being attacked.
My thought is that the horse will kick and actually hit one of those people, and how they react to that, we would see.
Okay. Good to know. I will take that into consideration as we proceed. Okay, so now we start building the dice pool. So we take a light die if you have something that or one of your skills that come from your occupation or background. We've already talked about commands and how its presence here, so I'm assuming that's going to count towards your light die. I will say for this first one, you're not risking mind or body in the attempt. You're coming at the front end of the horse to grab its reins and not its back where its hooves are. So we won't have a dark dice to start here. So you do have the one light die. Now we get to propose devil's bargains. So for first one, no matter what, the supplies on the back of that horse are going to go flying. So now, Stella and Ryan, again, you guys get to propose devil's bargains of your own if you have some in mind. If you can't think of anything, we can just continue on. And again, these are things that it's not the same as a failed roll. It's things that make the narrative more interesting that happen regardless of success.
I don't know. I think your devil bargain is I think that's a good one. I can't think of anything better than that.
Yeah, let's just keep it simple for the first one. Let's just go with that
someone
one
propose a different one because the stuff on the horse is all I care about. So
well, you don't have to accept it. So
I know I don't have to accept it. I'm just looking for a better deal,
Just because it goes flying doesn't mean it's gonna break. So if it does go flying, I think there's a chance we could just swoop in and make a dash for it.
And I think that's the implication,
Yeah.
Like,
you know what? Let's make it interesting. I'll take your devil's bargain.
No matter what. Okay. So you have a second light die because you've accepted the devil's bargain. That brings your dice pool to 2 die. No dark die for the start. But I don't think I mentioned this at the beginning, but if you make your risk roll and you fail, you can add a dark die to the pool and roll again. And you can keep doing that as long as the dark die is not the highest die. But there is little risk for this first one. So 2d6, give them a roll and we'll see what the highest is.
Highest is 6.
6. Oh, it does show up on screen. Shit, nice.
Nice. Way to go, Ryan.
Good. Hey, look at us. And if you look real close, there's little honeycombs on it. Look at that. Look at that theming.
All right. Now, describe the situation to us. How do you calm this bucking horse?
Yeah. So, my character is fairly quick and somewhat quiet. And so I move up pretty quickly and I grab the reins and I hold my hand out to the side to the person beside me of this group. And then I'm like, whoa, hey, calm, deep breaths. And I look the horse in the eye. I'm like, calm, shh. I start getting little pets.
Okay. Wow. You get up to the horse. You do see that the apiarists start, they all jump back as you approach seemingly from nowhere and grab the reins and calm the horse. But before you do so, you do notice as you walk up this horse, these apiarists, they're sitting right at the edge of must be a ravine of sorts, an old creek that had carved its way through the environment, imperceivable up until you were almost on top of it. The horse itself dangerously close to the edge, and as it bucks one last time, the leather strap that holds its gear on the back snaps, and that supplies go whoosh off the horse, and you hear them clank onto the side of the ravine. and clunk, 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 all the way down. Now, Parda, while you are calming the horse, we still have Orlin and 𝗏𝗏 standing back a little bit. But what are you guys doing while you watch the scene unfold?
I'm definitely mourning my ability to rob some 𝗧𝗥𝗢𝗣𝗛𝗚. Only we had noticed the ravine.
Yeah, I think we're both kind of face palming a little bit in the back here, like
as the horse bucks and that pile of gear and the ampules that sit on it, whoop, and you hear the sickening crunch as it falls down. Now, the ravine is not infinite. It is a creek bed that has sort of carved its way into the hole, so there might still be some hope. But Hunter has disappeared on us. So what are you guys doing?
I think now that our situation has been done, I think we're going to be very very obvious in our greeting. Just not very unsubtle. Just like, oh, hello. All this kind of stuff.
Yes, like a very like ho there.
Well met,
friends,
fellow traveler.
Yeah,
stuff like that.
You're welcome. Hi.
Oh, good, Hunchback. Okay, so did you hear any of that stuff while you were walking away, or do you need?
No, I missed that. I'm sorry.
Oh, your compatriots have come out of the forest and have made their presence known. Okay, so Parda, you are sitting at the horse, its reins in hands. It has calmed down, but you hear a muffled voice. Blast it, you fool, that's our supplies. One of the apiarists is now sitting at the edge of the ravine looking down, and it's not an infinite ravine. It's a creek bed of sorts, a little too far for the unskilled to climb down, but there at the bottom, amidst a trickle of a stream that courses through, is a pack of supplies, now kind of sundered and ripped open from having tumbled down this hill, but it is there. And the other two kind of turn to approach, or at least to face the approaching Orlin and 𝗏𝗏 who are coming up. You hear one pipe up. Blast it, these woods are dangerous. Do you know not to sneak up on travelers?
We could say the same. We could say the same towards you.
The same? We've been calming our beast of burden. We did no such sneaking.
Well, we certainly weren't expecting to hear any beast of burden. Maybe you ought to put some bells on it or something.
Oh, and I thought the neighing was simply enough. No.
Well, I believe it was shrieking, actually, and kicking, and our friend there actually... well, the horse looks quite calm now, so you're welcome. And well met. Hi, I'm 𝗏𝗏.
You get a and a nod back. Now, like I said, they're wearing long, wide-brimmed hats. They have a mesh over their face. The mesh isn't like we would normally associate an apiarist today. Those of old, it's more of like a wicker or like a reed that has been woven. You see movement beneath it. You hear muffled voices, but you get nothing for distinguishing features. All three of them could be triplets for all you know, despite the pitch and tune of their voices being slightly different.
Triplets.
Yeah, I like your hat. It's nice. Cool. Yeah. Well, all right. Again, you're welcome. And good luck with those supplies, I guess.
Oh, hold on. One of them pipes up. the three of them have kind of coalesced closer together. You have calmed our beast. And I do thank you for that. But you've also caused our supplies to careen down into the ravine. We have a day's journey ahead of us. And those are our supplies.
Mm.
Interesting.
Yeah, that sucks.
It's reasonable to assume that we would have like rope, right?
Reasonable.
Yeah. I would hand them a fair bit of rope and say, well, best of luck.
As you hand over rope, you see the individual, the apiarist, hand slide ever closer to their belt. Where you see the sheath of a small knife.
Oh, hey there, friend.
It would be an awful shame if we were to struggle upon our journey back now that our supplies are gone.
How close to the ravine is this guy?
Pretty close.
Can I just push him into it? Does anyone have any issues with that before I do this?
No, fuck it. We're doing it. We're doing it now. We're pushing them.
So we've quick question. Lore, I would say, but meta lore. We know that treasure hunters are like fucked up and the force fucks them up, and we've done this once or twice, right?
I think at the very least there is the legends of the Caldor Forest and how it might claim, man.
Yeah.
Whether that absolves you of your personal guilt is entirely up to you.
Yeah.
What guilt?
Yeah. Cool. Right. No, sounds good.
Cool. So, Arda, you're the first to rush forward and just check them, body slam. What are you doing?
I think I'd like to use my transformation to give me a little extra oomph to the push.
Okay.
Because I'm gonna go ahead and I'll say it. So Parda is a werehair. So he I think I'm just gonna do the partial transformation of the legs, give me a little jump force to like jump and shove into the guy.
Okay.
You weren't bitten by a spider or anything like that?
No Spooderman.
Bitten by a rabbit.
I was thinking, like, for a game that's not combat, I was like, not a werewolf or a werebear, because like it feels very combat oriented. So I was thinking about weregoat, or werehair, and I decided on hair. So.
All right. So, how does it is a ritual, but this is part of your beast bitten, like.
Yeah, the transformation skill.
Yeah. So this is going to be a risk roll. When you use a ritual, you always add a dark die to your risk roll because you're risking mind or body. So what do you wish to accomplish with this?
I want to push this person into a ravine and gravely injure, if not kill them. So.
Just the one?
I think I really feel like how many are there?
There's 3 of them, one for each of you.
Yeah, I'll take responsibility for one of them,
Just one? Okay. We can address the other 2. You can, in theory, do multi-step action here. It just exposes you to greater risk. But for now, just the one.
Yeah, I think just the one for now is good for me.
Kick him into the ravine. So, in the event of failure, I think it's simple. I think you miss and he stabs you. But Stella and Ryan, what do you guys think? What will happen in the event of failure?
I think a possibility is that you're not able to stop yourself and you careen into the ravine.
That's also what I was thinking.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking as far as fire. I think stabbing or going is the thing. I think the Devil's Bargains are going to be interesting for the possibilities in that.
All right, so you've already discussed your transformation. So you get the light die, and you're using a ritual, so you get a dark die. So we do get to discuss Devil's Bargains. I think the first one, no matter what, you scare the horse off.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You guys have Devil's Bargains of your own to propose?
No matter what, I get dragged along as well.
Is this dragged into the fight or dragged by the horse?
Well, no, I'm like right next to like the guy that's being tackled, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like I would imagine that like he grabs on to, you know, like I get grabbed by him as like a thing, and if anything ends up happening, no matter what, I'm going where that guy is going.
Okay.
I think no matter what, you both, like Parda and the guy, both end up pitching in together.
All right, so which of those sounds more appealing?
I think I'm gonna take Stella's.
Okay, no matter what, you share. Okay, no matter what, you share the fate of the apiarist. All right. So you have 2 light die and 1 dark die.
Gotcha. And for dark, we did say we're doing D12 divided in half.
Yeah, for the dice pot that's going to show up on the screen here, our dark die is going to be the D12. 1 to 2 is 1, 3 to 4 is 2, and so on and so forth.
Oh shit!
How does math work? It's round down. So 7 is a 3 dark.
So I got a 4 as my highest one. 4 light die is my highest.
Light die. Okay. Do you wish to re-roll? You can add another dark die and re-roll that, or do you want to accept your 4?
Oh, no. I think I'll take another dark die, and I'll re-roll.
Re-roll. Okay. Oh, that's cocked on screen. It's really funny. But that is dark 6.
Dark 6.
So you succeed. You gain a condition. Your ruin increases. And Orlin is going tumbling down that ravine. So since this is so complicated, I'll just kind of do the descriptive bit here so we can kind of quickly move into the next part. So how do you start to transform? Tell us what this looks like first, this transformation.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think my eyes immediately shift to be more hair-like. I don't know if you've seen them. They have really off-putting, like orange, very starey eyes. My ears elongate a little bit, and the musculature in my legs changes as I get that hopping power. And I pretty much just like elbows into. I like wind up a good hop and just like elbows into the guy.
All right, so one of these apiarists, let's say the one that was threatening Orlin, the one with the knife, currently holding on to that rope that Orlin is handing over. So as you wind up and bang, the knife has already slipped out and it nicks you. Let's say in the arm, because that's fun. Your ruin increases by 1. You gain the condition bleeding. The small.
It's good, right?
That's good. Yeah, conditions are good. Now, as you kick, you have the moment of triumph as you watch them just launch backwards towards the ravine. It's almost in slow motion as they begin to fall down, still grasping that rope that is also looped around Orlin's arm, and you watch as the momentum drags Orlin over the edge as well.
No!
Now, Torum, you were watching this probably a few paces away. It seemed like you were a little further away from what we were talking about before. You watch as Parda begins to transform. Whether or not you've seen this before is entirely up to you, but they do kick an apiarist or check an apiarist. You watch the body begin to fly back, and you watch as the rope drags Orlin with it. What are you doing?
So Orlin, because of the bargain, is going in the ravine regardless. Like I'm not able to save
In
her.
theory, you can interject, but that is the momentum that is currently where we're heading towards.
Well, that sucks.
There are still 2 apiarists here, and each of them starting to quickly react and grab weapons of their own.
Yeah, no, I think Parda kind of set the tone, and I'm just gonna body check the next closest apiarist into the ravine.
You can attempt to take both of them on if you think that is productive, but again, you're opening yourself up to greater risk. Otherwise, you can just target one of them.
Let's see what we got here.
I mean, go for the glory. That's the way I see it.
Yeah, fuck it. Let's do this. I'm just gonna, try to take them both, because Parda is, I assume, so he's probably laying on the ground after hitting the guy, like checked him and did whatever, maybe doing like thing. Orlin's fucking gone. So right now I feel like the only people kind of like on their feet are me and 2 of them. So I might as well go for the gold. Or the dark.
This is Trophy Dark.
Yeah, I'm glad we both went there. And yeah, I'm just gonna. My assumption is they're both kind of like, what the fuck, looking down, and my quick, science brain, goes, 1v2, bad, and then I'm just gonna try to check them both into the ravine after everybody.
Okay. Easy enough. You run up and you try to do that. So what could go wrong? Easy enough is they have weapons. They're going to hit you with said weapons. But
cool.
Hunter, Stella, do you guys have ideas for other things that could go wrong?
Oh, I mean, I think the most obvious one is that you totally whiff it and you knock neither of them in and you go in.
Yeah, a lot of this danger seems to be ravine based.
All right, so interesting here. Do you have a skill that will aid you in this to gain you your first light die?
So I got a couple that are in my mind. One is deduction, where I can kind of see the best way to hit them both to get them to go in.
7-10 split.
It's like in that Sherlock Holmes movie with Robert Downey Jr. Where he's like, first move. Yeah.
Yeah. That's exactly what it is. My question, I have a blood skill. As
you
a
need
leech.
one skill to get the light die. You don't gain additional light die for additional skills. It's just the one.
Gotcha. So I'll bring a blood when we get bloody, which is inevitable.
I will take deduction, though. That sounds reasonable to me. So you gain your first light die. This is a dark die situation at this point. You are risking your mind or body because they're going to beat the shit out of you if you do not succeed. So you add a dark die to your roll. And Devil's Bargains. First one's an easy one. No matter what, you go into the ravine too.
I got one. No matter what happens, the horse runs away.
Bring that back.
Yeah, that's a good one. I'd say maybe as part of it, no matter what, some of your equipment gets damaged.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
I think
no matter what, Orlin goes in again.
Yeah. No matter what, we land on Orlin. No, I think again we'll keep with the ravine based consequences here, and I will say that worst case scenario or whatever. No, I'll say that regardless, I guess I go in. I get an extra dice and I choose the one that says I go too. Right? That's how the Devil's Bargain works.
Yeah.
Whatever I say, what happens. Yeah.
You accept the Devil's Bargain or choose not to accept any of them. And again, it's no matter what. Success or failure, the result will happen.
Yeah, no, let's just go with that. So my thought as I deduce this is that the best way is to get them both down there is, follow through, and I will just try to land on one of them, I think, in the scrum. So that gets me an extra die.
So you have 2 light die and 1 dark die to start.
And I made a handy little chart here for 1 through 12. So 7 was actually a 4.
Whoops.
But yeah, so let's rock. So again, for those seeing this, because on if you're only listening, this doesn't matter. The D12 is a D6. We just reduced the numbers so we can have 2 different colored dice. So let's see what happens. Well, fuck me. 4, 4, 4.
4s all around, baby.
Now,
Triple 4s, baby.
If dark is the highest die, in the event of it high, a dark wins, if I remember correctly. The dark die is also higher than your ruin. So your ruin increases. You can't re-roll because dark die is a high die. You succeed with a complication, and you're gaining a condition. And going into the ravine.
Sick.
Tell us what the setup looks like first. How does this initial bit happen, and then I'll follow through.
Yeah, I think as I was saying, like, you know, Parda gets all bouncy, knocks the one in. The rope wraps up Orlin. She's pulled through. The other 2 guys are kind of just like agape in horror as they see their apiarist homie pulled in. Orlin is screaming in, and so they're both in shock. My shock wears off faster, and I decide, well, fuck us. And I just barrel into both of them to take them into the ravine, myself going with them.
Okay, cool. So your wound increases from 2 to 3. That's the first part here. But as you slam into them, you careen over the edge in a tumbling mess. The other 2 carrying a little more momentum than you do. They kind of fly backwards and then hit at a much further point down the ravine before continuing to roll. You hit near the top and kind of roll down. You are going to gain the condition beaten and bruised as you kind of crack into rocks as you tumble your way down. As you settle at the same time as Orlin is kind of doing what we're going to talk about in a second, your complication here, one of these apiarists is dead, flat out. The other badly hurt, but still alive. And we'll deal with that in a moment. Now, Orlin, you're having a fun time. You had the rope in your hand. You watched as Parda wound up and checked him. You saw the apiarist fly over the edge, and then you felt the tug as you were pulled over the edge too. How's that going for you? What are you doing?
Honestly, not having a great time here. I think, I think I'm just taking this fall, you know?
You're not going to try and stop it?
I don't think she has the capability to do it, you know?
You can act to attempt to save yourself. Otherwise, I'm going to give you another ruin no matter what.
Yeah. I mean, you know, I'm fine taking another ruin. The way I see it, like, this is, you know, it's really just degrees of how bad I'm getting fucked up by this fall. Not, you know, I don't think.
How about you do one better? You're going to gain a ruin no matter what. And go ahead and add that to your ruin here. I'm going to have you make a ruin roll. If you fail the ruin roll, and I'll talk about what that means in a second. If you fail the ruin roll, you also gain a condition alongside your ruin increasing. A ruin roll. So when you witness or undergo something disturbing, you roll a dark die. If you roll higher than your current ruin, mark 1 ruin and work with the GM to define a condition. You're already marking the ruin. We're just going to do a condition here. So give me a D6 roll and compare it to your current ruin score.
5. That is decidedly more than 3.
Okay, so you gain a condition. You're also going to be beaten and bruised as you tumble on those rocks all the way down.
Fun. Let's see. Conditions.
Yes, and for the audience, just real quick while Ryan is currently occupied elsewhere, conditions in Trophy, they are sort of narrative aspects to it. There's no mechanical, like, implication to a condition. It's what helps us guide the character's descent. So we're going to keep gaining conditions over the course of the day, and the conditions themselves kind of play into what we deal with devil's bargains and whatnot. So it's on the table until you get to a point where you can clear conditions, but you have to kind of narratively do it. So if you're beaten and bruised, you have to tend to your wounds with supplies that you find, and so on and so forth. But that being said, the situation settles. We begin to change here. Now, Pardo, you're at the top. You're just kind of getting yourself up, dusting off. All three apiarists are gone. That horse is still sticking around, though. He's hanging out by the ravine. But at the bottom of the ravine, Orlin, tangled up in rope next to a dead apiarist. Torum, on top of one dead apiarist and next to another that is hanging on to life still, but badly injured. The two of you mostly okay at the bottom here, despite being scraped and bruised. Your clothing probably a little torn up. What do you guys do? You can hear the moans of the apiarist kind of like as they're pushing themselves up and trying to crawl to get to like a sitting position.
Is this just is this open to all, or?
Sure, whatever. Who wants to?
You are at the bottom, so
Yeah.
I a little horsey up here, you know.
You're not going to go full, like from the top of the ring. Just not going to do that. Yeah.
I think I'm gonna keep. I feel like I'm committed at this point. And I feel like with my blood deduction, whatever, when I see this guy, he looks pretty bad, and I think the best thing to do for him and for us would just be to put him out of his misery.
Okay. What do you have
and
to do?
I want to kind of, I feel like we're both beaten, bruised, kind of like shocked a bit, like, and I just want to like kind of drag myself off the one apiarist and grab this guy by like the back of his collar, kind of pull him back down, and then maybe his dagger had like fallen next to him, and I want to grab it and start to try to like just do one of these kind of like whatever is it, no place for old men, no country for old men situation, where he's got the guy with the garrots on the floor, but I'm gonna do it from behind with the knife across his throat. So I think I assume he'll try and stop me, and I just want to have that moment of like my strength versus his strength as the dagger kind of goes into his throat kind of situation.
Very, very quickly, I also actually had a plan for him because I've got a ritual, which is specifically bind. I can hold a creature in place as long as I stay motionless. And I think I want to try binding him, basically.
Okay.
Like,
given the situation, the lack of inherent danger here, I'm just going to let you do it. You can bind them.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna, because I've got those freaky bug eyes kind of thing going on, and they're just gonna like stare directly into where his face would be. And I'm just gonna be frozen. He's gonna be frozen.
Now, we're gonna end ring 1 on this. Move into ring 2 after an hour. Ring 2 will be a little quicker.
If we need two sessions, I'm good with that. I assume everyone else is fine with that as well.
I think that might end up being the thing, honestly.
Yeah, I would rather feel the whole like Trophy Dark experience and try to rush it. So if you guys are good with a second session, I'm good with the second session.
Yeah, we'll see where things go. Some of these are shorter than this first one, for sure.
Well, I don't know if you know how long we can make things, Josh, but we really can, Yeah.
All right, but the end of ring 1 here. Torum, you approach the apiarist on the ground. You pick up his dagger, rip off of his mask, and you see beneath it a bloated and changed face. hives that kind of well up on the skin. And as you watch as they freeze up, maybe you even hear the chanting of Orlin in the background, or whatever the ritual pertains, as they kind of freeze up and sit still. And you go and you grab the knife, start to cut into the flesh. I have a question for you. On this expedition, how will you succeed where others have failed?
Mm. So we're searching for the jelly and the queen and whatnot. I will succeed. This is how I will succeed or why I will succeed?
How will you succeed where others have failed?
Gosh, how do I even answer that question?
This is a self-determination.
Yeah. So, yeah, I guess again, I'm asking. So, like, I feel like I'm doing this not for myself, but for others. But I think that's a why, not a how.
So maybe it's you succeed because of the lack of personal drive here. You're going to succeed because it's not just for you.
Yeah, because I think the jelly and the healing and like all of that is something that I can use to really aid, and I think that will drive me, and that will, yeah, my selflessness in this is how it will succeed.
And that is the thought that crosses your mind as the knife blade slips across, and we end ring 1.
Boom.
Now,
Murder.
before we go into ring 2, I think this is a good time for the quick 5-minute break.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. So we will be back in just a moment, everyone. For those listening, 1 second. 1. And we are back for more Trophy Dark.
Okay. We've just finished ring 1. Some time passes. You've collected yourself, brushed yourself off, maybe tended to anything still bleeding of your wounds. You did scrape together what was left of the supplies that careened down into the ravine before climbing back up. Found shattered vials of anti-venom. It's a few salvageable drops you were able to get of one of them, maybe transferring it into another vial. Looks like a crude map drawn by one of the apiarists. Nothing terribly helpful, at least to your eyes. And more curiously, this is the thing you're pondering. Long time later, as you're wandering through the forest into ring 2, you found a stinger the size of a human hand in one of their bags.
Yeah.
Ponderous.
We've entered ring 2. And at this point, the forest that you have been traveling to has changed ever so slightly. The trees are now ringed with yellow and black striped mushrooms that cling to their base. The pollen in the air is ever more potent. In every breath you take, you can feel it. It makes it harder to breathe. And those with allergies are probably well into hay fever at this point. But the forest opens up into a floodplain. It's as if recent rains have come through and formed like a small, shallow, well, not really a small, but a shallow inland sea. Water sits a few inches. It's not terribly deep, but it's coalesced and it doesn't look like it's going anywhere, at least anytime soon. The entire floodplain is a riot of color. Instead of trees, you're now surrounded with flowering plants that tower up ahead, like above your head. Each of these plants just takes advantage of the precipitation. Like I said, their stalks are poking skyward, well above the waterline. And like I said, they're above your head even. These long flowering plants that streak upwards. Now, there are all varieties. You know, roses, tulips, and lavender, and other plant names. They kind of stretch skyward, all budding, all beautiful. And as you slosh through the water, you can feel it beneath your feet. Their roots have joined together to form a carpet. Now, footing is treacherous. Progress is slow. The carpet of roots is not the base of this floodplain. They are floating in some regard, whether suspended on sediment or in muck. So you could be stepping, and all of a sudden you put enough weight, it cracks through the roots and you sink up to your waist in water.
Very fun.
In the haze, the beautiful scents hitting your nose, the pollen itself making it hard to see between the stalks as they cast the shadows of their own. You begin to drift apart. Your legs and arms brush against exposed filaments that project from the flower stamens. A sticky golden fuzz accumulates to your clothing. Puffballs of seeds float above on a soft breeze. Now, Orlin, what important supply or item is dropped into the water or rendered useless by contact with sticky pollen?
I think it's some of the food supplies I brought. Like I at one point I ended up just, dipping down into the water, and all of this, like dried food stuff is now just soaked in mud.
So, food supplies now rendered useless. Was that the entirety of your food supplies or just the ones you carried yourself?
I think since I'm like the cook, that's it.
No. No. You are drifting apart. You hear the slosh of your fellow adventurers around you, but they don't see that food stuff get ruined. Now, Torum, what creature rustles amongst the flower stalks, navigating with ease while you flounder?
See. We're not going to go bees because that's kind of, I'm sure there's plenty of those that we'll encounter. Don't want to go rabbit because we have one of those already. I'm going to say, God, I should just pick something random, but I'm like, what would love giant flowers and water?
I mean, there's a lot of water bugs, even outside of bees and shit.
There are. I'm going to say like spiders. Definitely would love to be all up in here.
Okay, so spiders climb the stalks and drift by on top of the water as you struggle and flounder. Now, Torm, you stop for a moment to kind of take in that sight. You see like maybe a clump of them is kind of bound together, held up by the surface tension of the water, just floating on by. But after they've passed, you notice the silence is quiet. And you turn to look around. Your party members are nowhere to be seen. You don't hear them. You don't see them, like I said. They're gone. As for Orlin and Parda, each of you have similar moments as well. After pause and moment of reflection, you find yourselves alone. What do you do?
Oh, I feel like Parda's going to keep moving forward. You know?
Okay, so you just slosh on forward?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Orlin, Torum, how about you guys?
I think I'm gonna skulk for a minute and be mad about the food.
Okay, so you basically stay in one spot.
Yeah, I'm gonna stay in one spot, muttering and cussing about.
Stewing in anger. All right. Torum?
I think what I would want is a higher vantage, maybe, so I could spot my companions. I want to move around and like push on stems and various plants and see if one feels firm enough that it might actually hold my weight, so I could maybe get up on a higher flower and see if they're moving, you know.
Okay. There might be a particularly structured thorn bush or something of the sort that allows you to kind of push your way up. The flowers don't tower too far above your head, so it wouldn't be the hardest thing in the world. I will ask you to make a risk roll, though. You're not risking mind or body here, but you might be risking your dryness, or at least what's left of you that's dry.
Gotcha.
So I think the worst thing that can happen is you fall into the water. Do you guys have any ideas of what could go wrong with this?
I mean, considering these are flowers, there could be bits of bramble, briar, and things of such nature.
Okay. Little thorny spikes to help
Yeah,
prod.
yeah.
Anything to add, Hunter? You satisfied with those?
I'm satisfied with those, I think. I think it's already bad enough, so.
Okay.
Because there's also the spiders.
There is also the spiders.
Oh, yeah.
Do you have any skills that will help you climbing flowers?
I mean, I think what I'm gonna do a lot, because I'm a smart boy more than anything, is I'm gonna default to deduction a lot, where I would test them prior, maybe even like push a couple together in order to build what looks like a more sound structure, to try to find the one that seems the safest and sturdiest. Otherwise, unless I'm going to do surgery on it, I think no.
Good to know. So you can gain your light die as a result. Now for Devil's Bargains. No matter what, you find that you're not alone. Outside of your compatriots, you find something else is in here with you. You guys have Devil's Bargains?
So you go for it.
No, I was gonna say I can't think of anything.
So you're trying to climb up.
Yeah.
I say that Devil's Bargain is you make it. But mean, we don't really have listed equipment, but like earlier you referenced Orlin like losing a piece of valuable equipment. So could the Devil's Bargain also be like, yeah, you make it at the top, but you lose something valuable on your way up?
Sure. That sounds fair to me.
But I've got an idea for Devil's Bargain.
What's up?
No matter what, when you go to look out, something spots you.
Okay, so you lose equipment, you're spotted immediately, or something stalks the trees or the flowers, I guess. Those are your choices.
I'm gonna go with Orlin's something spot me because maybe it's not a bad thing. So question, just to clarify, do we always start with one die and then take an additional for a skill and then an additional for Devil Bargain to 3? Or so what if you
don't have skills, you got to take Devil's Bargain.
Oh, so you have to get your one die in order to roll.
Or risk Mind or Body and take a dark die as your only die.
I love this game so fucking much, dude. Okay, so I have, I'm going to go 2d6 because I'm going to take Orlin's Bargain to something spots me, regardless of what it is.
Okay.
And you said I'm not risking Mind or Body, so I don't need to do a dark die.
No, you're just risking your warmth and comfort.
Dope. Ooh. 3 and a 4.
Do you wish to add a dark die onto that and roll again, or are you happy with your 4?
Oh, let's fuck it. We ball. I'm gonna throw.
We ball.
So it's the same die, 2d6, and then I just throw a dark die on top of it.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's fucking do it. So it doesn't quite seem. Let's see. God damn it! Fuck me. 5
nice.
of 6 and a dark die of 6.
Okay, so dark high, your ruin increases. Oh man, this is going to be interesting. Okay, so you succeed. Something spots you and your ruin increases. That's what we have here. So success is simple enough. You climb to the top. You get up onto the branch that holds you up. You see your compatriots quite a ways away, but enough where you can kind of gather them together in the future. But you see the flower shifting and moving out of ear range, but still within sight. Now, if you have not increased your ruin, please do so.
Oh, I did. I'm good. I'm up there.
And I think for your condition, it's simple. I think you get scratched by the bramble that's up here, like we've talked about earlier. So you're already beaten and bruised, and now this is a little different. This is almost like an anaphylaxia type of deal where you get scratched, but it raises the skin, not just cuts it. I don't know a good term for the condition other than anaphylaxia, but I think that's a little extreme for.
Yeah, anaphylactic is. I mean, I'm not going to go to medical on it, but yeah, I get wheals and stuff
right?
from. Yeah, I get wheals and whatnot from like my skin raises. I actually get like marks and they stay red and raised. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Don't act like you know medical stuff, Ryan.
You know what? You're right. I'm not gonna say anything about something I don't know anything about, right?
Now, something is watching you. So you found your compatriots, you've succeeded, but as you sit up on the top of this bit of bramble looking over the flowers, you see the light catch a reflection of a pair of eyes sitting just off into the shadow. They are perched just beneath the tops of the flowers. But the rest of it is obscured in shadows. But it does appear to be watching you. Now, we're going to go to Orlin and Parda, whoever wants to intercede, I suppose. Parda, you're continuing to slosh forward. Orlin, I think you were hanging out in place, swallowing in madness. What do you guys do? One of you may see 𝗏𝗏 poking up above the flower line, but that's entirely up to you. What are you guys doing?
I think Parda's like looking out, so I think Parda would see someone get up high and move. You know, like he's got that. You know, he's a wear hair
You're
guy.
squirrely like that.
Yeah.
Okay. So you catch the movement. Do you start moving in that direction?
Yeah, absolutely.
Lovely. Okay, so you start sloshing your way towards where 𝗏𝗏 sits upon the perch. Orlin, what are you doing?
I think at this point, now that I'm done, just cussing and muttering to myself, I'm going to start just yelling for the other two.
Good to know.
Yeah.
Let's quickly hop back to 𝗏𝗏 then. You're sitting up atop your perch. You do catch that Parda has seen you and is moving closer, and you hear the calls of Orlin somewhere in the distance. You also see those eyes. What are you doing?
Well, first, do we want to call it like hives and rash from the
Sure.
scratches?
Yeah, that works.
We've all been very quiet. I'm gonna call out to Parda from my from my perch here, and as I wave my arms, they see the scratches, maybe a couple drops of blood and like this redness on the arm, but I call out to Parda from the top of my tulip platform.
Okay. Do anything about being watched, or is that sitting there waiting for you?
Where were the eyes at again? How close were they?
Off in the distance. You catch the reflection in the light, but whatever it is in the shadows. But you do know that its eyes are just below the tops of the flowers.
Are the eyes closer to me, or is Parda closer to me?
I'd say closer to you because it's your consequence.
So, is it between me and Parda, or is it like triangulated?
I'm thinking like triangulated. So you guys are in a straight line, and things like here.
Gotcha. And I don't see Orlin anywhere.
Orlin's been calling out, so
Okay.
you might hear her.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'll call out to Parda and I mean, at this point, I feel like we're just doing like trimmers, but like basically say that like, X feet that way, like there is something. So get here or get up. I think.
I hear him, and I understand. And I don't know. Do I want to start bounding towards you or away? I feel like, yeah, I guess we're safer together as me part of this thought process. So I'll start making my way towards 𝗏𝗏.
Okay. Orlin, in your calling out, you hear the response, or at least what you think could be a response. You heading towards the voices?
No, I'm definitely starting to head in that direction.
Okay. Now, Orlin, as you're sloshing into the water, heading towards the voices, you come across something floating. And as you poke it, or at least get closer, you see it's a swollen body, half rotted, a shallow pool of water. You can see, even though the bloating and swollen nature of the corpse, in its hands clutches a brazier, complete with just complete, burning of the hands, like they're burnt and crisped as they hold this brazier clutched to their dead and bloating corpse.
Uh,
I need you to make a ruin roll for me.
Sounds good. That is a D6 trying to roll under my ruin to succeed, right?
Yes. So you're rolling a dark die if it matters. If it is higher than your current ruin, your ruin increases. So equal or less than your ruin.
Hey, 1.
One, lovely. All right. So tell us, how do you view this scene? You come up and you find this corpse sitting there floating in the water just ahead of you, its hands burnt and clutching a brazier.
Hmm. Uh, I think that the way I see it is that they're probably lowborn, so it doesn't matter that much, you know?
So you just see it and you move on?
Yeah. I'm just like, you know what? This doesn't concern me. I'm better than them. They are just, they they don't even register as human to me.
Who pours?
Yeah, exactly.
God.
Yeah.
All right, so Orlan, you slosh towards the voices continuing onwards. Torum and Parda, you have begun to coalesce. Or at least Torum, you perched up high. Parda is now trudging towards, at least you were the sound. I don't remember what we decided. Do you get closer together?
Yeah, I'm not going to climb all the way up there, but I move towards where he's obviously climbed up from.
All right, so you're moving closer. Torum, you're at the top of the perch. You notice that the eyes are gone, but you do hear shifting and sloshing, getting closer and closer. Parda, you would hear this as well at this point, beyond your own footsteps that slosh and move. What do you guys do?
I want to call out. Oh, go for it. No, Parda.
No. You do that.
I just want to call out like question mark at the end, like Orlan.
Do I hear that?
You hear it.
So I'm gonna then yell again without any concern for what could hear me. Parda?
No, Parda, you do hear the voice, but it is not coming from the direction of the sloshing.
Good. Who goes there?
Call out and you get no response. Just a getting ever louder and closer.
Show yourself, coward.
It seems like it just might. It does not respond. It just gets louder and more present. It will be almost upon you in just a moment. Is there one last thing you do before it is revealed?
Yeah, I pull out the dagger that I took off the apiarist.
Okay. A perch at top, you.
I prepare mentally.
You prepare mentally.
Yeah.
Now the sloshing gets louder. The trees, not the trees, they're giant plants, shift and move. The shadows begin to move with whatever stalks behind them. And then it breaks into the light. You see it. An enormous moose. 8 feet tall. Sloshes forward. It makes no notice of you. Takes no threat from you. But it continues to push past and move forward, heading in the direction you were once coming from. As it sloshes and moves and gets closer, you do notice the faint buzzing. Its broad antlers, coated in dripping honey and speckled with bees. Some alive and some dead. Now, Orlin, you've sloshed through the forest just as the moose passes from beyond view into the flowers. Orlin reappears. But before we end ring 2, Orem, I have a question. What folk knowledge about the moose lends inspiration and courage to you and your group?
Always me. I do have lore.
Yeah, that's why
yeah. So folk knowledge about mooses that makes us feel good.
I think the plural is meese.
Yeah, Mises. What do we know about the Mies? I feel like the Mies are good omens in the forest. They are majestic beasts that are strong and are symbols of survival, I think, within this kind of area. You know, it's they're not easily brought down. They're, they hold their own. And I think that's what we get from it, is a confident omen of strength and fortitude.
Patient.
Yeah.
Okay. Lovely. Now, ring 3. You've coalesced. You've left the floodplain behind, back into the trees. It's getting dark. It's not quite time to make camp, but it is approaching. But this part of the forest, the trees have become more crowded. You can feel it, that you're getting closer to the heart of the forest. Bee sightings have become more frequent, from smaller scouting variety to wingless soldiers as large as hounds that shift among the shadows and crawl on the trees. On top of the trees themselves being close, care must be taken to appear harmless and unworthy attention as you push past these insects. Now, Orlin, how are you willing to debase yourself when the antenna of a striped guard flicks your way?
Debase myself.
That is reduce in quality or value.
Yes, I am familiar. I'm someone who debases myself a fair deal, just in general. I don't know why I said that. I don't even think that's true. But whatever. I think I'm gonna pick up a handful of pollen rich dirt or whatever, chew it about for a little bit and then spit it out, and just trying to make it seem like I'm doing bee shit.
Okay, so you grab flowers and pollen, you spit it out, and for some reason it seems to work as the antenna of the long antenna of the wingless soldier, as large as a hound, just flicks in another direction and it scurries off. Now, Torum, what do you visualize to remain still and calm? It's a curious bee's monstrous mandibles carefully prise away the pollen coated on your limbs.
Yeah, that's actually a bit rough because I'm beaten, bruised, and my flesh is also covered in hives and rash, so it's even more not tickly when these
How
things
do
are
you
doing
remain
it.
calm?
So I imagine myself in surgery, where you have to stay cool, calm, collected, still at times, steady-handed, and I imagine myself doing an appendectomy.
No. Arda, question for you as well. You've discovered that your canvas sack, the special one that's been waxed, it has a tear in it.
Mhm.
No, it's not a tear. It's too clean. It was cut. The sack, your wax sack, the only one you were carrying, can no longer carry any fluid. No more royal jelly for you or anything otherwise from this sack at the very least. Who do you think would engage in sabotage this early into the expedition?
I don't know. I think Torum's really sketchy. Oh.
Okay.
Some washed up old doctor, you know? I don't know. Maybe it was Orlin. You know, those nobility can't be trusted either.
She does have no regard for human life.
That is so true. I think I'm going to actually go with Orlin because Orlin has no regard for human life.
All right, so the suspicion begins to set in. No, you don't have to do anything about that now, but you will have a chance. Because at a certain point, you have to take camp. As you prepare your site beneath a starlit sky, the woods reverberate the constant hum. Sometimes it's ignorable. Sometimes leading a listener to imagine hidden harmonies, echoes of lullabies. Orlin, these lullabies that come to mind. What were the songs about? Those that lulled you to sleep as a child?
I think they were about roses.
That imagery comes to mind as you hear the harmonious buzz while you set up camp. It's hard to place, but that tune feels unmistakable to you. How do you think those memories, those of roses, will help you sleep so far from home, covered in pollen, with a lack of the finer comforts in life?
I think it makes her assured that if she can just join the swirling court, the kind of luxury she once knew, will be very, very easily obtainable. You know,
You know? Now, Parda, you've noticed your bag ripped. Orlin, you are hearing the harmonies of the lullabies once sung to you buzzing in the trees. The three of you have set up camp, though. You have a small fire going. You have your sleeping arrangements set. Is there anything you guys do before you pass out into sleep for the night?
I'm gonna argue that we should have killed that moose for food.
I'm going to argue that you should have not lost our food.
Or it's just like, eyes darting and like holding whatever else I have still close to me.
I also want to try to these hives and stuff, they're not going away. I want to try to make some type of like poultice or something that I can try to rub on my arms. It doesn't seem to help, but it's irritating. It won't stop. It's like burning on my arms, and it's just kind of like getting to me a little bit, making me irritable. So I try to coat my arms in some type of paste that I make and hope that maybe it helps eventually.
So you find the pieces, the parts, the plants to make this paste. Maybe you had them with you alone. Maybe you combine them, something scattered near the campground. You've mixed it up to begin to slather. And as you slather it on, you notice how bad it's been getting. Whatever infection is spreading or irritant is causing this has changed your arms. They're lumpy and swollen, and you can feel the pain radiating as you touch. But you do have this salve. I need you to make a ruin roll. This is roll 1 dark die. You were looking for equal or less than your ruin score.
Sick. Yeah, man, histamine's a bitch. My ruin is a 4 currently.
Mm-hmm.
Can I roll anything but 4s? This is like my 8th 4. Nope.
So your ruin does not increase. So tell us, this does not cure your condition, but it does soothe it some. Describe the scene to us, please.
Yeah, I think that's kind of what it is. This stuff is really getting to me, and the wheels and welts and stuff are really angry and almost they're almost purulent. And I'm weeping from them. So as I gather the plants, I snap at Orlin when she talks about the food. But when I get the plants, I actually, what I would like to do is, you said we were able to salvage a little bit of that anti-venom from those vials, right?
Yeah.
I wanna, as I'm making this salve on me, I would have a mortar and pestle, and I'm making this, and I add a little bit of water and whatnot. I actually want to drip like maybe just a drop of that anti-venom into it and see if that would help abate it. And I crush this in, and I coat it on my arms. And again, it doesn't go away, but it stops. It soothes it slightly. It's a bit of aloe vera on a severe sunburn. It's not going to go away. I know it's going to come back, but for right now, at least it's allowing me to like take a breath and calm down and touch things without feeling like my skin's on fire.
Okay. Arda, Orlin, anything you do before tucking in?
Oh, I glare accusingly at Orlin.
Even before that accusing glare, I think I was just staring with my bug eyes at Parda.
Giving a face off.
Or no, Torum, I mean. Just
watching.
Yeah, just looking at each other.
Orlin.
Oh, I guess I'm gonna just try to staunch I can't really do anything about my bleeding condition, right?
You can if you have something that can address it. It's more of you can kind of tend to it, but unless you have some sort of means of aiding it, the condition remains.
I'm gonna hobble over to Torum. I'm like, hey doc, can you do anything about all the bleeding?
Yeah, I think at this point, if I've put enough salve on myself to be able to pay attention to other people, I do have a skill called Blood.
Nice.
And I am a leech. I don't know the application of that. My assumption is you know, again, like much of my character is medicinal. Could I, you know, as I'm making my salve, you know, maybe fashion some type of like bandages or something that would at least staunch some of the bleeding?
Yeah, I think that's fair. How about, I don't even think I need a roll for this. Hardy, you can clear your bleeding condition. You guys are in a relative point of safety. You do have somebody who has the skills, and you have the cloth. You can tend to that wound now.
Nice.
No. Orlin, while you were watching, or at least tangentially watching, the commotion between Torm and Parda, you do notice at your campsite, carved into a tree nearby, just at the edge of where you've chosen to make a camp, very clearly cut with some sharp surface or knife. It's an arrow. Seems to be pointing back the way you came.
This looks recent, correct?
I'd say so. Still dripping amber sap.
Hmm.
Could be a few minutes, could be a few hours or a day. It's hard to tell.
Reckon it's probably been a day or so. There's someone who might have had the royal jelly before us. Gonna make a note of that. Just be prepared if we see someone who's trying to steal what's rightfully ours.
Good to know. No.
I'm not gonna tell the other two though.
Ooh, all right. As the three of you settle in now to take that night of sleep, we're going to end ring 3. It was a calm one, all things considered. We have one last thing. Parda, as you stare up at the starlit sky and dreams or sleep begins to take its way with you, you can see the constellations still identifiable through a zigzag of the branches up above. What is the name of the constellation that will guide you home once you're met with success here?
It's the sheath.
The sheath?
Yeah.
What does this look like?
It is several stars aligned in like a tight U-ish shape with a hard point that people often illustrates as like the sheath of a sword.
Okay. As you stare up at the sheath, its point guiding you home, just before sleep takes you, the constellation above dissipates into fireflies that scatter, leaving the sky black and empty. And that is ring 3. Now, morning comes. You awaken to a hum, a rising hum. It's easy enough to follow. And you see it. It's a trail of outgoing bee scouts winging away from some hidden hive. This could be a clue, a secret, a way to find the heart of the humming woods, or maybe it itself. So you picked up camp. You followed this source, this hum, just for any hint, any way forward, any sign that you were heading in the right direction. Now, you don't find the heart of the humming woods, but you do find a tree. Its profile warped by the presence of hexagon-shaped wax tillings. It's not a hive, but it's some standalone structure where the trunk reaches the ground. A miserable human figure clings to life, embedded and immobile. You can see the rise and lowering of their chest as they still continue to draw labored breaths. The figure wears the mesh mask of a beekeeper. It's another treasure hunter of sorts, near the end of their failed journey. As you leave the tree line, the three of you are staring at this miserable person adhered to this tree. You see the raise and lower of their chest. The mask shifts ever so slightly in your direction, and you hear a voice come from behind that wicker or reed mesh. Water. What do you do?
I'll rush forward with water. I mean,
yeah, you're the doctor.
I'm the help. Yeah, I assume we have some on us in the packs in a canteen or something, and I'll push forward, and if I get to him, or get to them, I'll pull the wicker helmet off and try to present my canteen.
Okay. As you rush from the tree line, heading towards this presence at the base of the trunk of the tree, the sun ahead that filters through the trees is blotted out ever so briefly. And as you look up, you see it. A great swarm of bees is just passed overhead, yet thick enough to blot the sun temporarily. But they pay you no mind as you rush ahead. Now, as Thorm is running towards the base of this trunk where the person is adhered, Parda, Orlan, what are you guys doing?
I won't let Orlan behind me. So whatever keeps Orlan directly in front of me.
That's the case. I'm going to slowly mill about and be like, whatever was Torm doing with that lost cause?
Okay, so the two of you mill at the tree line while Torm rushes ahead?
Yeah, I think so. I'm staying on my guard. I'm like back by a tree. And
like, why don't you go help your friend?
Me?
Why don't you go? Did not go through?
Why don't you go help him?
Sorry. I thought you genuinely didn't hear me on the mic, but just like fine. And I'm gonna start walking, not hurriedly, but just kind of in the general direction with very little interest.
Mm-hmm.
Torm, as you rush ahead, so they're seated against the base of the trunk. It looks like their arms are kind of splayed outward a little bit, but their mask kind of tilts and notices you. Again, you hear the water comes from just ever so faintly from behind the mask. But as you approach, kneel down with your water bladder or canteen, what have you, can't help but notice the buzzing. It's a hum, louder as you get closer. It almost seems to be coming from within this person themselves.
Nope. Cool.
What do you do?
So bees flew overhead. I rushed forward. What did you say they were attached to the tree with?
Wax, honey, just
Goop.
goop.
They're gooped up.
Gooped
Can
up.
I mean, the first thing they want is water, so I want to try to pour a little water in. But as I'm doing that, I want to be kind of like visibly assessing them.
They are wearing one of those masks.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna pop the top on that.
You pop the top. The face beneath is not. It's not a pretty sight. It's barely recognizable as human at this point. Eyes swollen, face, cheeks protruding, hives everywhere, skin red and ragged. Almost like the rash spreading on your arms. But as you drip water into their barely open mouth, the humming still present in your ears, you see it's almost as if the garb they wear is moving.
I want to sling the canteen back or stick it back on my belt. I have that hat in my hand. Is it like tight around the neck? Is it sealed? Is it open? Like what's...
I think this is just a thick robe. I don't think it's like a 𝗧𝗥𝗢𝗣𝗛 suit or anything like that. It's probably like a canvas, I think the thing I've been picturing is sort of like a priest garb, like a drapey robe type of thing, but a thick, heavy fabric that cinches at the arms. But the hat kind of sits over it and leaves the neckline as it's wooded. So it's
kind of plague doctor-y, but with the wicker hat, not with the with the beak and stuff. Makes sense.
Yeah.
That's totally reasonable. I want to like tuck the hat under my arm, and I actually want to like palpate a bit and like feel like if it's something, the movement, my immediate assumption, my deduction in fact would be that, well, it's humming and it's moving, there's probably bees in here. I just want to kind of get a quick pat to feel like if it's the bees are between the suit and the skin, or if the bees feel like they're in the skin, if that makes sense.
So you're patting the chest?
Yeah, I just want to give it a little pat down. Yeah.
Okay. As you reach your hands forward, Parda, Orlin, what are you guys doing? Sitting at the tree line.
At this point, I do think we have no option but to I think at this point, even though I haven't been moving with a lot of speed, I am gonna just pull up to where 𝗧𝗥𝗢𝗣𝗛 is and just ask him if he's dealt with it already.
I think the buzzing makes Parda wary, and so he starts kind of moving forward quietly, like up next to the two of them as well.
Okay. So you gather around,
listening for the swarm.
You're getting ever closer as Torum reaches their hands out and palpates the chest. Torum, as you reach forward and touch it, it's like an immediate. And you need to make a ruin roll for me.
Nope. Sick. What was like a collapsing of the chest, or?
Yes.
Sick. Great.
So you're rolling again.
CPR on a 9-year-old. All right.
A dark die, and you're trying to get equal or lower than your current ruin score.
All right. Again, my ruin is 4. I'll just roll the 6 because it's the only one we're rolling, so we don't need the color differentiation. And let's see what we got, baby.
Nice.
I've seen shit. You know, I'm a doctor.
So you go to reach for the chest, and where you're expecting resistance, it's just as it snaps. What do you do?
Yeah, that's
This is a hummable moment.
So you
yeah.
All right. So the other two, you sit there and you hear the and the
I feel like I grabbed his shoulders, like we should leave immediately. We should run now.
After the crunch, there's silence. And then the buzzing picks up again. An ever higher tone, just as you see the chest start like shaking and moving, and from the neckline, finger-sized bees just out.
I would like to, at the first sign of movement up at the neck, I would like to just like once again, I'm gonna and put the hat back on, and I hear Parda say in my ear, like, we should get out of here, and I'm like, I concur, and I just want to take one or two steps back, and then calmly, and then just take off.
Okay. So you take 1-2 steps back, and the first bee is just out from under the mask. Just, and then the other 100 just start crawling out from beneath the mask, from within that cavity. A swarm is starting to form. You're starting to run. Orlin, Parda, what are you doing? As you watch as Torum is like getting up and taking 2 steps back, you see the writhing of the corpse as bees begin to shift and move.
Parda already started running. Like when I said we should leave, and then I started to turn and go.
Yeah. I think I'm the kind of person who runs. Just generally, this just seems bad. We're running.
Yeah.
Okay. So the 3 of you are turn and run. You hear it, the voracious buzzing behind you. It's ever present in your ear. This is no longer the melodies that you were hearing last night. This is anger incarnate. A quick glance back and you see it, a thick swarm. Must be 100, 200. Bees, you swear they almost look like a person as they shift and move and fly in your direction far faster than you can run. And then they're upon you.
Not faster than I can run.
The 3 of you, the horde is coming, this shifting and moving. They're all around you. They're buzzing. They're crawling your skin. They are stinging. What do you do?
Oh, I want to transform into a werehare and like run and like bound away.
You're going to try and run. All right.
And you're not going to use your magic swarm.
So the problem with the swarm is I have to trade favors, and I don't have any favors for them right now, you know?
All right. So let's start with Parda then. Stella, Ryan, think about what your characters are doing while we address this. If you are going to use your ritual to turn into the hare and run away, that is a risk roll.
Yeah.
No. Because you're using ritual,
it's bound away. Hare's bound. You know, they don't run. So
yeah. Because you are doing a ritual, you automatically get a dark die. You already have the transformation skill, so you gain that first light die. So what could go wrong? I think, you're obviously trying to get away. I think the easy thing that could go wrong is that you don't get away. Stella, Ryan, do you guys have ideas about what could happen?
I mean, part of the thing is that like you start having a reaction to these specific stings,
Oh, so maybe the transformation goes wrong.
Yeah,
I just turn into a hare. I'm just a rabbit from now on.
Yeah. I think possibility of failure is that actually the magic itself, the ritual itself, draws more of the bees towards you.
Ooh.
Oh, that's a good one.
All right, so we have our 2 die, our dark and our light. So Devil's Bargain. I think no matter what, you're coated in the pheromones of the bees.
Giggity.
Do you guys have any other Devil's Bargains?
Does anyone else have a devil's bargain other than that as an idea? Because
I can't think of anything.
I think that I think that's a good one.
If you want to modify your what could go wrong to be Devil's Bargain, that could be as well.
That is true. No matter what, you do start having a reaction.
That is a good one. Yeah, you have a reaction, but you do get away. Yeah, I mean, I think those 2 are good.
Okay. Yeah. So no matter what, you're either coated with pheromones or your transformation does not go as you expect. Do you choose to accept one of those?
No, I won't take those. I'll roll with my 1 light and 1 dark die. So
no deal with the devil.
Okay, we can do this. We got this, y'all. Bam.
That is a 2 and a 4.
A 4 is only a 2. Yeah.
Okay, so you succeed, but there is a complication. Unless you wish to add another dark die and roll again.
Yeah. Listen, I mean, the spirit of this game is things get worse, so let's help along there, you know?
All right. Let's see what happens.
Ooh.
It is dark high 4. So another 4, dark high this time.
Perfect.
All right. So
things are going just as we planned, y'all. Good job.
You succeed with a complication. Your ruin increases.
Good.
And you gain a condition. I know how to resolve all of these. So up that ruin.
Oh, I didn't realize the portrait on this character keeper gets darker as your ruin goes up.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, Ben Bond, if you're watching this, you do incredible work.
Oh, it does. Oh my God.
I can't even fathom how this character keeper works.
Yeah, I can't either. It's really amazing.
Sick.
Okay, so you're running away. You do get away. Complication and a condition, and your ruin increases. You get away. You get a couple stings by some bees. How about you tell me, how does your transformation go wrong?
Wait, didn't I not take that option as my devil's bargain?
No, but I'm adding as your complication.
Okay, so it's my complication is my my transformation goes wrong. I don't know. I can't I go full hair. I just become like a big hair.
Okay. So what does that look like?
So like as I'm going, I get stung and it just like kickstarts it. It's almost like a panic response. It's like fight or flight, you know, like I just have this flight response and I go full hair and I just look like I feel an almost human-sized gigantic jackrabbit, you know, with just panic eyes and big ears and brown fur. And if you've not seen the jackrabbit, they're ugly. It's not bunny. Like they're genuinely unpleasant to look at.
All right, so you begin the transformation, and it goes a little too far as you're sprinting away. You do get away. You succeed. You have bounded past this. You've outpaced the horde. Now you take the condition. Harry.
I did it, y'all. big hair guy. You know, the guy with no hair, big hair guy.
As you're bounding away, not quite at 6 ruin, but dangerously close.
Oh, I'm so unbelievably close. Yeah.
5 ruin at this point. Now, Torum, Orlin, you are also running away in this process. You do see Parta begin to transform. At this point, it is at least a known thing to you. What are you guys doing? How do you escape the horde? Or don't escape the horde. It's up to you. You can just lay it on die.
We could always just choose death. Always an option.
Very true.
However, I think I was gonna say, like, maybe we could burn something to, make the insects avoid us, but I don't think we can do that and run at the same time.
If you want to sit there and try and light a torch, it's reasonable for you to have a torch.
Yeah,
but
that
doing
is true.
that is what dictates the risk, sitting there while the swarm is going around trying to light it. So you can do it.
Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna try stop very quickly to light it, and maybe I don't know. I presume I have some because I do have the poison skill. I assume that I do have some unpleasant herbage.
Trying to burn it to make acrid smoke.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can I help? Can I do 2 things? Make a suggestion and potentially help with that.
Sure. You can do a help roll. Actually, if you want to both do this together, we'll just do a risk roll with a help instead of having 2 separate actions.
I think as we're kind of running and I see Orlin reaching for the torch and stuff, I want to grab her and maybe steer back towards the tree. There's a body and a bunch of ragged clothing on it that I think will spark up pretty quickly if we set the human corpse on fire, potentially.
I think that would only anger them more. Because most of them are out of... That's true. That's true.
You could always just pull away from my grasp. That's totally fine. It's just a suggestion.
That is true. But yeah, no, I mean, yeah, I think part of it is just that I want this acrid smoke,
Gotcha.
I mean, you can combine that. I don't see that being as mutually exclusive with burning the corpse.
That's true.
No, that's totally fine. I think I'm going for the corpse regardless. So if she stops, pulls from my grasp, and kind of drops and does her acrid smoke with the herbage, I'll just do a different action afterwards. That's totally fine.
My unpleasant herbage.
Okay, so do you guys want to combine forces? Are we doing this 2 separate rolls?
Oh, I think we're doing 2 separate things. Yeah, I have a whole different situation. Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
All right. So let's do the torch first, then the acrid torch, then we'll do the burning corpse. Okay. So we know what you want. We know what you hope to achieve is to drive the bees away with the big smoke. What could go wrong? Obviously, I think you could just fail. Not be quick enough in time.
Be subsumed by the swarm.
Yeah.
Happens to the best of us.
Hunter, Ryan, do you guys have any thoughts on what could go wrong?
The flame just doesn't light, I think is pretty much where we're at with that.
Wait, can I suggest something that goes wrong? Because
Sure.
Yeah. The fire is too successful. And because we're in the woods,
That was more or less the direction I was going to go with. You and the things around you also burn.
Yeah. That's a good devil's bargain. Keep that in mind. All right. So first, do you have any skills that you think will help with lighting a torch amid a swarm of bees?
I do have improvisation from being a chef, and
Tell that to me.
Yeah, well, here's the way I see it. To be a chef, it is immutably linked to fire, you know? Like I am the person who I'm lighting the fires when it's cold and wet. I'm lighting, the fires when the shit sucks because I need to cook all the time. So I'm used to lighting fires under less than ideal circumstances. So I think that could be improvisation.
Yeah, consider me sold. All
Yeah.
right, so this is risking mind or body because you're trying to avoid a swarm killing you. So you gain a dark die as well. Now for the devil's bargains, no matter what, you light torch and the surrounding area.
I'll take that devil's bargain.
Oh, hold on. Let's propose some other ones.
So bees don't like smoke. But my thought is, well, no, this is devil's bargain, not failure. No, I was gonna say that whatever you burn actually attracts other bees. Like it's more incense than like it's not the desired effect as opposed to like an acrid bad thing. It's more of like a pleasant incense that ends up coming from this, and it actually attracts maybe not more of these, but even like that swarm overhead catches its attention.
No matter what, you light it, and the bees flee, but something worse comes up.
No matter what. All right, so no matter what, fire. Different bugs come, or something worse comes.
Fire. We gotta go with fire.
All right. So you get 2 light die and a dark die. Let's see.
All right. Oh. So that's 2 light and a dark. Oh.
8.
6.
Wow.
6, 6, 4.
All right.
Pretty good.
Tell me, what does success look like for you?
So I think immediately as I'm like running, just with this, or I stop running ever so quickly. I'm just hurriedly just lighting this flint and steel. I am able to one, light this torch and then put these kind of unpleasant herbs to the torch and light them on fire. And I drop some, and it goes to some of the 𝗪𝗀𝗀 on the ground floor. And I think that's what it looks like in my situation. These still burning herbs drop to the floor.
All right, so you are creating this cloud of like black smoke from the plant. Maybe it's gray smoke. That sounds better. Gray smoke that just comes out. The horde of bees just disappears. Or at least around you, they're still present here. But as long as you hold that torch, you are free of them for the time being. But those flecks do drop down, and you smell it. The smoke first, different smoke, less acrid, but as the forest floor begins to burn around you. Now, Torum, you knew that plan was happening, but Orlin was pulling away from at least your thought process there.
Yeah, so what I would like to do is race back towards a corpse. And first I would like to, so here's my thought. It's wearing a bee suit. Right? So that offered some protection to the apiarists or bee stuff in general, and I'm just seeking some protection. So and I felt its chest just crumble against a soft touch. So I want to run towards the corpse and kind of run into it against the tree and crush the remaining body within the suit, and then try to take the hat and rip the robes off and wrap them around myself as I continue to run to give me some protection.
So you're looking for protection. Okay. So what could go wrong? I think you can get stuck to that tree too.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's goop to the tree. That's why it's not super easy.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
All right, Stella Hunter, what do you think could go wrong?
But before I get to that, I would just like to point out for dear listeners, actually, dear viewers, who I'm not sure if they can see the character keepers, but I want you all to know that for this entire session up until this point, Parda has been kind of displayed by a fairly generic kind of D&D ranger sort. However, while the acrid smoke was being adjudicated, Hunter appears to have gone in and found an image of what's best described as a rabbit doing Nosferatu shit. Just like kind of stuff. It's a very good illustration. Sorry, I needed to make sure that people were aware of this.
I will happily drag it onto screen here. There we go.
Yeah.
I tried to post the link in chat, but it obviously did not work. But yes, that's me right now. Terrifying.
Yeah.
Me the werehair. I'm gonna be honest, I was actually looking for a werehair picture to post up and then posting it everywhere. So I missed. Ryan, your plan was to do what? I'm so sorry.
I'm going to try to crush the I'm gonna run into the body, crush what remains of the corpse, and hope to rip the robes off the tree and protect myself with them.
Okay, and stuck to the tree was already what's gonna happen that's bad, right?
Yes, because he was attached with honey and wax and goop and stuff. So as I crush into the body, I'm hoping to make it easier to pull the ropes off. I could potentially get stuck.
I think the body's still full of bees.
Full of bees.
I think that part of what may be dangerous is that like whatever made someone, I guess, metamorph into like hive paper it's more than just physical, it's got a magic quality about it, you know what I mean? So if you're dangerous, then maybe that could rub off on you.
Okay. Good to know.
All
right. So this is going to be the end of this ring once we resolve this, by the way, just in terms of pacing. So with that in mind, do you have anything that will help you with ripping cloth and a hat off a corpse?
So again, I have blood deduction and surgery, all of which could potentially be applied, especially the deduction and the surgery. My thought with the deduction and surgery is that I've already assessed the body. I've palpated it. I determined that it is basically falling apart. That, makes it easier for me to kind of understand the situation with the body. And I had already assessed like how it was stuck to the tree and whatnot. So it's not like I'm randomly doing this. I've already looked at the scenario and whatnot. My other thought would just be surgery, because I can carefully do tasks that would require, insight and whatnot.
Okay, good to know. You gain a dark die also because this is difficult or dangerous, or risks mind or body. And then devil's bargains. Easy enough. No matter what, you get stuck to the tree.
Damn, that was mine. I was like, hey, yeah, you're getting stuck, buddy.
Well, that doesn't help me at all. So you're saying that, like, you know what I mean? Like, that's not like a good but a bad thing happens. Like, I'm not protected. I'm just stuck to a tree.
Regardless of success, you would be stuck to the tree. That's what the devil's bargain would mean. So you might be able to cover yourself, but getting out would be fun.
Gotcha. So you're saying I would basically crush the body and then still like just get into the robes, but I'm attached to the tree or something.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, we'd figure
it out.
But
all right, what else we got?
That was mine. No matter what, you also light on fire.
God, these are such tempting offers. Both of these, great.
Yeah, I can't think of any devil's bargain at the moment.
All right, so stuck to the tree, on fire, or no bargain at all.
My gosh, well, I would love the extra die, but I also think I would die from both of these. So,
all right, let's do it then. 2d6 or 1 light, 1 dark.
Yeah, so I guess I mean to get the 2d6, I guess I'll have to take the stuck to the tree, huh?
Okay. Stuck to the tree.
Because otherwise it's just one light, one dark, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
Fuck off.
6 high, dark.
Yeah, and so that's I can't re-roll because my ruin's higher, right?
The highest die in the roll was the dark die, so you can't roll regardless.
Sick, dope, awesome, wonderful.
So
I fail, and everything bad happens.
Increases. No, you do succeed. It was 6 high, so it is successful. You protect yourself.
That's right.
You get stuck to the tree, and your ruin increases. Now, since this is the last action for this ring, we'll jump ahead a little bit. The bees are gone. And we close this ring with Orlin with a still lit torch, ripping Torim off of the tree. With the bees now dissipated, you've reached safety, but this honey has coated your skin, and it's like ripping hairs off. You don't gain a new condition, say. Just one of them gets worse. Your hives and rash progress. Your eyes begin to seal shut. You can still see, but only barely. Your airway is ever so close to closing, but you are alive for now.
Should have taken the fire.
Should have. Can I just say though, real quick, because I wanted to kind of describe how I still protected myself and got stuck. I wanted to crush the corpse, like basically bounce off of it, like I said, and I feel a bunch of it like crushing. But as the bees are stinging me, I realize the only way to kind of protect myself is to go up into the robes, and I have to actually reach in and pull corpse chunks out of this robe and climb up through what's left of the remains inside the ropes scraping against me, and kind of like pull it around me as like the hand falls back against me and falls out the bottom of the robe and whatnot.
God damn.
So I'm wrapped in remains and goop and honey and stuff, and that's how Orlin has to pull me out, is this swath of flesh and honey.
Metal.
Good times.
No. Now, with Hunter having disappeared, we've ended ring 4. We're going to move into ring 5 in a second. But tell me, how did the two of you find Parta, who had run off?
That's a very good question. Maybe
Yeah, how did you find the hair?
Yeah, how did we find 𝗪𝗪𝗀𝗀? I think that there's maybe like an obvious trail of like branches and stuff that had just been like broken off from like kind of lower down trees and all that. You know, and we could follow that and eventually catch up, presumably sometime after Parta stopped.
Hair signs, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it's a giant human-sized hair. It's not going to be as... I mean, we could easily find, like, the little tracks through the forest that usually people, like trappers, put the little loops on, but it's massive, like Orlin said, massively destroyed as it fled.
Yeah.
Maybe also we find, like, a little rabbit's burrow that Parta tried to climb into, but it's way too small, so it's pretty much just like sticking their head in the dirt and the rest of their body is just like out of the
I think that's what's happening.
Yeah.
All right. So it doesn't take too long before you coalesce and find each other. There is the smell of soot in the air as the fire behind you continues to burn. but you found Arda. And in your search, through coincidence or not, you've also found the sixth form heart just beyond where Parda was trying to burrow into that rabbit burrow. So we enter the fifth and final ring. Staring at this structure that lies ahead, the heart at the center of the humming woods. Cone structures engulf trees to their peak, forming an immense and irregular dome surrounded by activity. You're lucky. In the face of the structure just ahead is a tall, deep gouge left by an immense and hungry forest creature. The gouge itself, 8 feet high, furrowed at the ends, more of a central mass in the center. The ragged opening yawns wide enough for one treasure hunter at a time, though. Your goal lies within. Who goes first? Who decides?
Well, I'm a big old jackrabbit, so one of y'all decide.
That is true. You're not really in the state to be making decisions and such.
I'm just like,
I think Orlin goes first. The only time she's willing to put herself in front is when she reckons there's the goal in front.
Is there a way to make Parda maybe not full jackrabbit anymore? Could I medicine up some salve that has the remaining anti-venom that maybe would...
just let this be a thing. Let this just be a thing, you know?
Okay, yeah, fuck it. You're a bunny.
I think you put yourself at great risk if you wish to do so, but this is magic of the, worst form that has created this monstrosity.
Yeah. I'm part is happy like this, man.
Yeah.
This
cool.
is good.
No, good. Yeah. Hey, listen, I'm a doctor. I have to try.
Part of my oath,
Yeah. That.
All right, so Orlin heads in first. Who's next?
I mean, I don't know if the rabbit will continue if we don't watch it, so I'll push it through the opening.
You like it goes Orlin, and then Parda goes through, but you're kind of like, it's when you're pushing the dog forward and they don't really want to go for it, but they kind of trot a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay. Orlin, Parda, Torum. Inside, you push through yielding walls, wax under fingernails. It's a struggle to stay calm under the unwelcome attention of the hive of hounds who run antenna over your feet and click mandibles that could easily wrench one's limbs to the point of destruction. Trapped heat clings as the amber light dims, the hive growing darker and darker as you push further in. So coated in a scent that's something that somehow keeps you almost invisible. You feel the mandibles and the antennas of these bees, yet they don't attack, so something is going on here. But which of you realizes how easy it would be to pierce the perfumed armor of another and expose them to the hive.
I think it's Orlin.
Arguably the most evil member of the party.
Yeah, Orlin, you have those acrid herbs. It would probably be a simple matter to quickly rub them upon the one who sits behind you at this point, Parda, and expose its oils.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
I think I'm gonna do that because if they're focused on something else, I can get that royal jelly.
either way, keep that in mind. It might come in handy. No.
Are we
As you
all
push...
5 rune?
No, Orlin is way better than y'all at the moment.
Yeah, only at a mere 3.
Yeah. Okay, so as you're pushing further in, it's as if the hive walls behind you have healed, wax extruded and smoothed over. The light vanishes. If you can reach the mother of millions at this point, what then? In the heart of her domain, as you're surrounded by wax and honeycomb, surrounded in every direction by her family of protectors, the thought dawns upon you: who could steal from her power granted by the woods themselves? The only way out is blocked by the treasure hunters behind you. Maybe you could push back through that honeycomb to get out to find the sun once again. The only sure way to get back, though, is to retrace your steps, or you can continue to push forward, see what lies ahead. What do you guys do?
I think we're seeing this to the end.
Yeah, ever forward.
Surely only one can control the mother of millions.
When can you do a reduction roll?
At 5.
But I'm at 5. We can do it whenever.
Sure. Yeah, just let me know when you want to be evil.
Yeah, I think if we're squeezing through this stuff, and we came to this realization that it's probably pheromones or pollen or something on us that's helping. I think my hives and welts and everything are just really getting to me, and we need to get out of here. And I don't think that this rabbit is really helping.
I'm helping. He's not dumb. He's still got a brain. I'm just in a rabbit now.
Listen, my hives and rash and stuff are worse, and that they're digging into my brain. It feels like the heat and the scratches, and this is what I'm feeling. Is that also? I mean, gosh, this thing. I think I'd be helping it if I put it out of its misery. Is where my brain is turning.
All right, so
it does look pretty wretched, yeah.
It's fair.
So I still have that water canteen on me. I think as we're moving and kind of pushing and doing whatever, if I happen to just pour some over its fur and wash off some of that pollen, maybe it'll attract unwanted attention.
Yeah. So Torm, you're at the back of the pack. There are plenty of those workers shifting and moving at your feet and crawling up what left of this hive and in and out of the honeycombs. The way behind you is starting to seal. Seems Orlin is content with continuing to push forward, part of driven by what you think is animal instinct at this point, but it's hard to glimpse into the mind of a wearer hair as you feel the hives and rash just continue to swell. Your breathing gets harder and harder, especially as the way behind seals, pushing you ever closer together. What do you do?
Yeah, I think it's this combination of this stress of this heat and stuff in my head saying we have to get this done and get out, and this rabbit's not helping, and I think it's also you can't live as a rabbit. So two birds, one stone here. I want to pour some of my canteen over its back and wash some of the pollen off so that it'll be noticed by the bees.
This is going to be a reduction roll. So each time you act in the interests of the forest, roll a light die. If it's less than your current ruin, the betrayal goes unnoticed and you can remove one ruin. If it's higher or equal, you can still decide whether you want to remove your ruin, but your betrayal will be noticed. So 1d6, and you're trying to get less than 5. Ooh, higher. All right.
Like, this is when I roll.
So, do you wish to continue forward with the action regardless of consequence? Is the question here.
I think, yeah, fuck it. Even if he notices he's a fucking rabbit, how's he going to tell anybody?
Okay, so you take out your canteen and slosh the water down on it, washing off sticky, it's probably pollen residue at this point that's coating the surface of this hair. As it washes off, the bees, the massive hound-like creatures that crawl around your legs and up your sides, starting to pick and take notice. A part of you know the water immediately as it sloshes down your back. Orlin, you're at the front. You probably hear some retort from Parda being splashed with water, but you definitely
just chirping and chittering, you know?
Yeah, you definitely notice, though, the bees, as they start to gain commotion, the buzzing picks up. What do you guys do?
I'm gonna look behind me. I'm gonna see that the bees are mad, and I'm gonna keep walking.
Okay, you push on forward.
Parda's gonna try to grab something within its little reach to wipe on to Torum as well to get the same effect. Or what did Orlin pass earlier that was like barbed?
Barbs would have been I don't know, plant life, but you're in a hive right now, crawling around. Yeah. There's honeycomb, there's honey, and there's bees.
Yeah. Can't grab the water. God, what am I gonna do? I think Parda's gonna run forward then.
Oh, you're just gonna sprint forward?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Like, I don't think there's another. Like, it's one person wide, so I can either go backwards or forwards. And I think desperately trying to get to the goal is where like the echo of Parda's mind in this creature is. You know.
I think that might run me down.
It might. Yeah, actually, that's the action I'll take. I'll run down Orlin trying to pass.
All right. So I think this is going to be sort of where we conclude things, where we kind of resolve the situation and how it, kind of comes together. Torum, you have doused Parda. Parda's freaking out, begins to push forward, carving a bigger swath path towards Orlin, who was already continuing to move forward in. So Torum, what are you doing? You have a little bit of room to breathe. The buzzing is now following Parda deeper into the hive.
I feel like the hives and the rash and everything are just starting to really get to me, and like as I'm slowly following after, like I think it's the pollen and like just the bee essence that's really like saving us, right?
That seems to be the case, but you don't know for sure.
Can I kind of like scrape some off like the wax and the honey or anything? Like as I'm walking slowly forward, I just want to kind of like run my fingers and then just try to like be dousing these wheels and hives and rashes in the honey to see if it helps like at all, but I'm just going to keep marching forward.
Okay. So I don't know if it's going to help immediately, but your goal is to march forward into the heart of the hive with the commotion going on.
Yeah, I think as I look back, it's kind of sealing behind us anyway. So at this point, it's just forward or nothing. And plus, I mean, I started something with 𝗪𝗏. I decided that I need to put down the jackrabbit for its own good. So I feel like I need to finish it.
No. Orlin, 𝗪𝗏, moving forward. So I think 𝗪𝗏 in this case is the force of nature pushing through. I do want you to make a ruin roll for me to see if you maintain, yes, please, maintain any sort of control over this.
It's at or below my ruin, right?
Below. Yeah, you want below.
Yeah, cool. I'm below. I have 5, so.
Yeah, at or below. You're right. 5. All right, lovely. So you are able to kind of maintain faculty, but you're continuing to push forward as the bees are starting to swell up behind you, and you feel that your protective coating is gone. So the only way to push forward, but you are running up against Orlin. So in this case, 𝗪𝗏 is the force of nature barreling down upon you, Orlin. What do you do to attempt to escape this fate of being smushed into the hive or overwhelmed with the bees that trail behind 𝗪𝗏?
That's a good question. I think maybe just maybe with the way this is, I'm gonna wait. I know what I've got bind.
Ooh.
I am going to keep yeah, no, I'm gonna keep 𝗪𝗏 still. I'm gonna bind him in place. I'm gonna look at him with my weird bug eyes and try and freeze him there.
Right. Bind is a ritual that is a risk roll. You automatically gain the dark die.
Eh?
Easy enough. It doesn't work where you attract attention to yourself. Do you have any skills that will aid you in this, by the way?
I don't think I do.
You don't do. So you automatically have the dark die. We're coming up to the end of our time here. So quick devil's bargain. No matter what, you attract the attention of the bees as well.
I'm not going to take that bargain.
Do you guys have bargains?
Real quick. Ooh. No matter what you get, I guess the only other one I can kind of think of is no matter what you get, you also get stuck in like the wax of the hive. So you just hold us both there together.
I'm not going to take that bargain either. I'm gonna ride out with this single dark die, which I guess since it's only a dark die, I don't need to roll the d12. Yeah, and roll. That is, yeah.
You are successful. Your ruin increases. I think this is just like an inherently evil act As your ruin increases, that is your soul getting worn away as you freeze Parda, and you watch as the bees that were chasing them begin to swarm up around the body to seal their fate in the hive. Now, goodbye, Parda.
Bye-bye.
Orlin, you continue to push forward, and we'll end on this moment here. Corum, as you were moving, you were slower than the group. You do see the bees swarm over a frozen Parda and sting and bite and rend flesh. They're sitting helplessly still, unable to move or resist. What do you do with the hive ahead of you, the body of your former compatriot now being torn apart by these insects? You do see Orlin ahead, staring bug-eyed at this rolling mass of bees now before turning to leave to go deeper into the hive. Do you push past the swarm as well?
Yeah, I think I would push past. I think my first task is complete. Parda's out of their misery.
Okay. Easy enough. As you walk by, you still have that knife. It's a quick whoosh. Doesn't even disturb the bees, still absentmindedly tending to the corpse now.
Thanks for that. Thanks for not letting me sit through those bees.
No. Orlin, you were the first to make it into the central chamber, and this is where we'll leave it. But Torum, you do follow up behind. The center opens. The hive spreads out up ahead of you. You see endless fractal patterns of honeycombs sort of spiraling in intricate patterns. And then you see her, the mother of millions, almost human-like, at least torso up. The skin, though, is chitinous and striped the same as a bee's. Her eyes, two of them, but they have that, I forgot the term for it, the little bug eyes, but there's still two of them.
Refractive,
yeah. As her eyes...
Good word using.
Turn to you, you see that royal jelly embedded up into the walls of the chamber around it, the queen herself surrounded with riches. But then her torso continues downwards, and you see the bulbous mass swarming with larvae ready to be born and whisked away by more bees. But the last thing you see is birthed from that form. It's not larva. Balls of wax just pop, slop down onto the ground in front of you, Orlin, Torum. The mother of millions' face never changes, but she watches as those wax forms shift and move into humanoid shapes. Their forms soon turning to look just like the two of you. And we'll leave it with you two staring as if into a mirror at your waxen selves in the middle of this hive, in the middle of the humming woods.
goddamn, that was fun.
That was crazy. That was a blast. Good. I was also very sure you were going to do like a Hunter x Hunter ending, you know? And it's like 3 royal guard come out of the eggs, but But yeah, that was great.
We still have time, but that was A Warm and Pleasant Hum by Michael Van Vleet.
That was sick.
Yeah.
If we got one last thing to end on, I wanted to do like I look over at Orland and like grip my knife again, and then but yeah, that was great. Trophy Dark. Good time.
Great time.
Can't wait to play it.
It's really good system. I'm glad we actually got to play this one after reviewing it so long ago. But I mean, that was like the dice rolling in this like discussion, and like the Devil's Bargain being a discussion. It was a blast. It made everything feel incredibly meaningful. Yeah, great. Worked really well.
Cool. So oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say I wasn't expecting my character to be so evil, and then like I thought about the fact that wait, I have the poisoning skill. I was just like, oh, that doesn't reflect well on her.
Well, you also come from a rich family.
That's true, but
yeah,
and that is actually why I have the poisoning skill, because as a disinherited noble, I get poisons and appraisal.
Love that.
Nice.
That's such good. Yeah, no, I love this system. It's fantastic, especially for a system that you're not really going to do combat in unless it's against each other. The way that the way that it encourages this like darkness throughout, and how the dice rolls really feel like they like add, they don't like take away at all. It feels really good, and I love the way that it just keeps everybody invested all the time in everyone's actions, since you're all contributing to everyone's actions. I really loved it. Really fantastic system. Definitely going to run this a lot more. Can't wait to do Trophy Gold, because that's the plan, right? Josh, I know when we first started talking about doing the side quest, we wanted to do a bit of both.
Yeah, so when we come back for Trophy Gold, whenever we schedule it, and hopefully soon, because it's probably better to do these close together. But we're going to be running A Heart Hums in Darkness. It is another Michael Van Vleet adventure or incursion. Like I said, it is interwoven with the events that have occurred tonight, but we will see. We'll see some consequences, some things from another side. Your characters, they might not be gone, but you will be playing new ones at the very least.
Sick.
I was kind of I didn't whiff that ruin roll, because I was hoping to like get my last ruin and just be like, the were-rabbit, like the were-hare runs off now because it's just part of nature.
Yeah, there you go. But yeah, we'll go to that sooner than later. We'll drop this. Like we said, check out episode 83, where we review both Dark and Gold. Previously, also, if I recall, Hunter, I think our last year's review scores had Trophy Dark pretty high entire time.
Yeah.
And I'm very glad that definitely feels right, especially now that I got to play it on stream and run through SideQuests. And Josh, fantastic mastering of the game as always. The vibes immaculate. Yeah. And Stella becoming a normal face here on our SideQuest APs, the West Coast crew.
Exactly. Pacific or bust.
There we go. So thank you both. What's up?
No respect for those Atlantic folks.
Nah. F them. West Coast, best coast, baby. But yeah, thank you so much both for joining us. Really appreciate it. As we said, we will announce when we're going to do Trophy Gold again. Thank you so much, Michael Van Vleet, for writing a fantastic adventure, and Jesse Ross for making a fantastic game. Really, really great time here. Any last words from our peoples? If not, I know, Josh, you had a 6 o'clock time.
Yeah,
any last words?
Yeah. Goodbye.
Bye.
There we go. See you all. Thank you all so much.
Yeah.